was a short third man stroke back or gully, kind of.
All the time for New Zealand to start dropping catches.
Well, he wasn't quite there, was it? It was a diving one-handed attempt. Did he actually get it? He did.
Oh, you can't call that a drop, for goodness sake.
Professional level, you'd hope to hang on to that.
I've seen Trent Bolt pull off some catches like that.
Just out of his reach. It was literally fingertips.
That's unbelievably harsh.
And Warner got back for 2 runs.
I'm gathering.
We've seen New Zealand's fielding standards.
That's not a drop. The only place that is a drop is if.
Welcome back to Guerrilla Cricket's coverage of England's tour of New Zealand. You join us just after tea on day 1. England won the toss and elected to bat out Maunganui. The first test at Maunganui. A new England opener, a new England era, a new England era, and it started in much more sedate fashion than we're used to for England, where tests are played at fast forward. England take a cup of tea at 121 for 3 the men to go. Dom Sibley looked quite good, particularly through the leg side. In fact, didn't actually score a run in the offside, so sort of by process of elimination, he had to look good through the leg side. He made 22 of 63 before nibbling at one that moved away from Colin de Grandhomme. Good take by Ross Taylor. Then England got to lunch at 66 for 1. Rory Burns nibbled behind to give Vijay Watling a simple catch off Colin de Grandhomme, and Joe Root, having had a tricky start to his innings, 20 runs without scoring, then a nudge into the onside, which became 2 thanks to a misfield, and then did a frankly inexplicable shot to give a simple catch to Tim Southey. New Zealand were excellent in the second hour of that session. Was it in the end that they took? It was 14 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 19 in that second half of the session. It's a slowish pitch, and in New Zealand, after a slightly wayward first half, Harrow bowled pretty economically and pretty tidily. I think de Grandhomme, Wagner and Bolt all very tidy. Tim Southey a little bit more all over the place. I'm Nakul Pandey on Ball by Ball for the first half an hour of this session. I'm joined to my right by Nigel Henderson. Hello! He'll be playing your jingles. And to my left, reading your social media comments, Tim Part.
Hello again.
How do we see this session unfolding?
Well, I mean, from an England perspective, they just don't want to lose wickets, do they? It's been a very slow day's cricket in terms of runs scored, just a little over two and over. I guess they want to go to the close at 200 for 3. They'd take that from here, I think. And
so a slight acceleration.
Yeah, a little bit of an acceleration. And people might think that with Ben Stokes out there, they will push it along, but I really don't think it's that kind of pitch, and I don't think that Stokes will necessarily be in that that mode of thinking, really. He realises that they can't lose too many more wickets on the basis that they're not scoring quick runs.
It's a bit of a setup day today.
Well, yeah, but I mean, once you find yourself 120 for 3 after 2 sessions, you can't really think of much more than 200, can you, really? You've got 34 overs to go, if we get them all in. So yeah, I think an 80 odd runs on the basis of the pace they've been going at. I think that just the crucial thing is to keep as many wickets intact for tomorrow.
Tim? Yeah, I think that England might try and overcompensate and just be very cautious. You know, we've been in this position several times during the Ashes and in recent Test matches, and I think they'll just be painfully conscious that the batting has failed on a regular occasion. So I think, safety first. I think they'd be delighted, no matter how many runs they score, if they get to the close of play without any further wickets lost. And if Ben Stokes does start to unfurl some shots, so be it. But if not a disaster. You're quite right. It's the first day of Test cricket in what seems like a long while. So no need to go bonkers just yet.
Certainly for England. I mean, there's been plenty of Test cricket going on around the world, but certainly this new England era want to get off to a good start under Chris Silverwood. We talked about one of the batters who is out there, but let's jingle up the other one.
Joe Denley, he's almost as old as this theme song, but Chef is gone and we need someone to bat at the top of the order. Joe Denley, he's also a part-time bowler. He can do leg spin, but he's no Ravi Ashwin. He'll need help from the heavy roller. Joe Denley, Joe Denley.
And yet again, finished one session and starts another. It's the big left arm armpit merchant who starts with a leg stump half volley, which Denley clips into the leg side. Tom Latham fields at mid wicket. There is no run.
That's Neil Wagner. He's my boss. And when he takes 5 wickets in an over, it was moida.
Yeah, I keep looking at Denley, and the more and more I see of him, the more I think he's a man who would get a lot more runs if his placement was a little bit better. He does hit an awful number of good shots to fielders.
Alex Hales syndrome. Neil Wagner in full outside off stump, trying to tempt Denley into a cover driver shot. He does like to play eagle off the mark with a lovely extra cover drive just before lunch, but he leaves this alone through to BJ Watling. There is no run. Joe Denley 41 off 105. Seems to have barely had any strike in the last 45 minutes or so before lunch, before tea rather.
Yeah, he didn't really advance. He was on, I think, 32 after 64 balls. The last 41 deliveries that he's faced have only brought him 7 runs.
2 slips
9
and a
runs.
gully in places. Wagner's in left arm over the wicket to the right-handed Joe Denley, who drives this pleasantly. Wagner pitching it up, eschewing the armpit seeker for now. Drives to Kane Williamson, the New Zealand captain, at mid-off. There is no run. Denley, as I say, resuming on 41. Ben Stokes yet to face on 0 of 10. England 121 for 3, having won the toss and elected to bat on what is, it should be said, not a particularly quick pitch. Remains to be seen if it quickens up as test pitches often do on days 2 and 3. But England doing work that they hope will pay off later. Full delivery, lovely drive from Joe Denley, but great stop from Kane Williamson, diving to his left, made up a lot of ground to be able to even put in the dive. And saved 3 runs probably for his team. Denley timed that nicely, but well snagged by Kane Williamson. Denley gets a single. England are underway after tea, and that brings the angry Ginger onto strike. Or not so angry these days, in fact.
I was looking for his older jingle. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the other one, but I can't seem to find it. What's going on here? Put him in the box, but nothing's happening.
Our jingle machine is being a little bit temperamental, alas.
Go a cappella, Knuckle.
Anyway,
It is Ben Stokes as Wagner comes in left arm over the wicket. 3 slips and a short leg in place. A full delivery, a real tempter for Stokes, who threatens to have a drive at it, but then withdraws the bat and goes through to the keeper. There is no run.
well, you're going to have this one, I'm afraid.
I got up in Stokes, and he called me a oh, if I'd only seen that Ben Stokes was so mean.
In comes Wagner. Last ball of the first over after tea is a full delivery, which Stokes is in very solidly behind, just blocks up to Kane Williamson. There is no run. 1 run off the first over after the resumption. England 122 for 3.
Any tweets?
Anyone joined us
No.
after tea on the social medias?
They've all gone to bed. You
Yeah.
pathetic lightweights out there. Please tweet us, because otherwise we get a bit lonely at this time of the morning. It's the only thing that keeps us going, to be fair.
A couple of people waking up and tuning in on Crick Tracker. Shubham Kumar says good morning. Good morning. Who else? Mark Ross says, would this have been your starting 11, or would you have had anyone different in place?
For the England team.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think the England 11 pretty much as expected, and pretty much as I would have liked. I mean, maybe you could have made a case for Zach Crawley over Joe Denley, but I think Denley's done, as you say, I said it before tea, he's done all right, the Joe Denley story.
Yeah, no, I think he had to. You know, Crawley's time will come, and
It is the vice captain who'll be resuming operations from the city end after lunch. Starts outside off stump. Denley plays sort of inside the line through to BJ Watling. It goes. There is no run.
Presumably the top.
What's up, Dad? What's cooking? What's up, Dad? Are you looking for bugs, bunny bunting? Duck is gonna hunting.
Tim Southey.
What's up, Dad?
Second spell was a lot better than his first spell, where he was too short and too wide outside off stump. Seemed to make a concerted effort to pitch the ball up more and try and get a little bit of swing. 2 slips and a gully. A little hint of movement as a bird flies perilously close to the camera and obscures the view for a little moment. But Denley obviously not bothered by it not being a TV viewer, pushes to shortest extra cover, and there is no run. We saw that first delivery of Southey's over was held for the outswinger. It did shake just a little bit, but the ball 50 into its 58th over, so not swinging as prodigiously as it did earlier.
Yeah, we were mulling, weren't we, whether this pitch will maybe just quicken up a little bit tomorrow.
Southey in. That one does shape a little bit, but then dies on the way through to BJ Watling, who takes it on the second bounce. Takes it well, left alone by Denley. There is no run, but that looked very gentle.
I said at the outset that I thought that Bolt and Southey in their first spells bowled well within themselves. And to a certain extent, Southey seems to be doing that here as well. It's not like they're facing a massively long tour, although, of course, they do go to Australia in after Christmas.
In comes Southey, fourth ball of the over, right arm over the wicket to Joe Denley. Goes a little bit wider on the crease and angles this one into Joe Denley, who is watchful for that slight change-up from Tim Southey. Blocks back to the bowler, there is no run.
But I mean, if England were to lose wickets tonight and the pitch does quicken up a little bit tomorrow, then New Zealand are going to think that it's been a pretty good toss to lose. I mean, the run rate now is down to 2.12 and over. I mean, it's as slow as you'll see in Test cricket in this day and age, I think. Yeah,
really, and New Zealand's discipline paying off in the second half of that second session. Bouncer, which Denley ducks out of the way of. He did show a willingness to pull Neil Wagner, the left armour, in Wagner's first spell to him, but he doesn't do anything with that. It was a decent bouncer actually from Southey, just a little bit offline, and it did get Denley into a little bit of trouble, but he pulls everything that needed to be pulled away from the line of the ball away from it, and through to the keeper. There is no run.
I think he's a little bit of a compulsive hooker, and he has to tell himself not to necessarily try and play that shot when it gets a little bit big on him, as it did then.
Two slips in the gully and a short extra cover in place, but perhaps giving some indication as to the slowness of this pitch. Denley pulls out of this attempted drive, or rather checks his stroke, and turns it into a sort of defensive push. Decent over from Tim Southey and maiden to begin. Probably the best over he's bowled today. England 122 for 3.
I'm wondering also whether the New Zealanders have worked out that this is a very almost dead pitch, and they are actually deliberately taking a bit of pace out of the equation as well. I mean, they may be thinking along those lines. We've seen Colin de Grand's probably been the most effective bowler.
Yeah, I thought that from Southey in his second spell, which was better. I thought he was very much almost putting it there a little bit, trying to get as much swing as he possibly could. And we saw when Bolt was bowling to Dom Sibley, they had a short extra cover and a short mid wicket in place.
Yeah, I think the short extra cover is always a sign of the fact that the ball's not quite coming on to the bat, and that you're hoping for a catch from the drive.
In comes Wagner to Stokes, who leaves alone outside off stump. It's amazing how much more settled Ben Stokes looks than every other batter.
Yeah, he's faced 13 balls, and we talked about Joe Root taking a while to get off the mark, but I suppose Stokes is having to do this either side of tee, so he's got to see his eye in again.
Well, he's playing at home, isn't he?
He is playing.
Twitter has stirred, and in Mog's case, it's stirred to tell us to fuck off. Some of us are trying to look like we're working and don't have lots of time to tweet. Dr. S.P. Cooper says, hang in there, lads, the night is young. 4 days to go. Tell me about it.
In comes Wagner well outside off stump. Nothing delivery. Stokes leaves alone through to the keeper. There is no run. 3 slips in the gully. Backward point mid off on the offside. Certainly got the short leg in place on the onside, and I'll try and bring you the rest of the field when I can.
Messi Jez, GC lover, as it now says.
As he's now known.
Yeah, admirable calm and sobriety at Gorilla Towers today compared with the start of the T20 series.
Yes, the start of the T20 series was a little bit raucous,
messy,
wasn't it? Yeah, it was, yeah. We've been out.
Leah says, my suggestion to drop Root for Denley doesn't look half as crazy as it did yesterday afternoon, does it, Knackle?
It was still crazy, as Wagner's in back of a length, and Stokes is off the mark with a nice little tuck off the hips. Jeet Raval is in position at wide-ish mid-on, and he trots round to field Stokes off the mark with a single.
Alvaro says, I'm still awake. Zach Crawley averages low 30s, but did go to Edison this school, so draw your own conclusions.
He did get 100 in one of the warm-ups, didn't he?
He did.
Crawley. Both he and Sibley.
He and Sibley, yes.
Yeah. But I understand. I mean, I think it was it the second match, the actual one that was actually a first-class match, was a bit of a road.
Yeah, it was, and it was this 11 that England are playing that played in that game. So this Test 11 that England are going in with has been heralded for at least a week. Wagner goes full, and Denley flows into a lovely cover drive, but kind of on the theme you were talking about, Hendo, straight to Mitchell Santner at cover. There is no run.
Yeah, I think also he's a little bit unlucky on this occasion because of the pace of the pitch. I think that would have just flashed past the man at cover, even if it had only been a yard away from him had the pitch been quicker. It almost gave the man at cover a little bit of extra time to adjust. But yeah, it is that problem of hitting the fielders a little bit.
What can he do with this one from Wagner as he's in face in a grimace of concentration? He goes on the back foot and just blocks this into the covers. Much easier stop for Santner this time. There is no run. 2 slips in the gully. Made a ring of 3 on the offside at point, cover and mid-off. We've got a mid-on and a mid-wicket, and I imagine a man back on the hook. So much more orthodox field rather than the occasional funk you get for Neil Wagner with his propensity to bang the ball in short and try and get it up into the rib cage or armpit region. Wagner almost bowling like a traditional left-arm seamer to Joe Denley. Certainly. Again goes full. This one hits Denley slightly higher on the bat than he was expecting, and it dribbles rather to Kane Williamson. There is no run. 1 run off the over. England only scored 2 runs in the 3 overs after lunch. They're 123 for 3.
Anna Forsyth says, given how far Denley has gotten by just doing all right, I think it should be top scoring with 12. How I got away with it in the Test team. The Joe Denley story. Jules Farman is awake.
Hello.
She says, where is she?
She's in Brazil.
I thought so. She says, keep going. Enjoying hearing Joe Denley get more runs and to hear his theme tune. And then she instructs me to read this phonetically, Boa Noite Chow Chow, which means good night, bye bye, I presume in the local dialect.
In Portuguese.
Turning in. You're leaving us when we need you most.
Yeah. And Ravian agrees, the distraction comes when they're looking competent, right until the moment that with a flourish they say, hey presto, collapse.
Well, there is always that possibility.
Not yet, Ravi, not yet. But imminently.
Southey bowling to Ben Stokes. We've got a man back on the deep point boundary for some reason. Not quite sure what the logic for that is with Stokes on 1 off 15. He tries to drive this up to mid-on, off rather, but it comes off the inside part of the bat to that man, and there is no run. 2 slips in the gully, that deep point mid-off, cover mid-off. I'll try and bring you the leg side field when we get another glimpse of it.
Got some hellos on Crick Track as well. Imdad Ali, hello.
Hello.
Madhu Nani, hi. And
Hi.
Ansar Ahmed says, good morning, gentlemen. Very great match to see. He's a purist.
It's a mid-on, a mid-wicket, and a long leg as Southey angles this one across Ben Stokes. Playing on Stokes' patience, testing his resolve to leave deliveries that he shouldn't be playing at. He does so on this occasion. There is no run.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that guy at deep backward point. He does play a lovely little chop cut shot that gets him quite a few runs there, but they're not really giving him the width to play that shot at the moment.
Or the length. They've been pitching it up really mostly to Stokes.
So I think it's a little bit of a waste, but we shall see.
In comes Southey, full outside off stump, and nicely driven by Ben Stokes, but in Denley-esque manner finds only the cover field. There is no run. He did close the face on that occasion, I think, to try and get it away from the man at deep point. But to cover it goes. There is no run. You think the deep point is more likely to be a position on quicker pitches?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? I mean, I've seen them do that with Root because he plays that shot as well, the drive slightly backward of square a lot of the time, and actually you can frustrate Root. I'm not sure you can frustrate Stokes to the same extent. He has got patience, even though you may think he's a bit explosive.
Southey in outside off stump, and Stokes with that. Well, actually, that was slightly more in front of square. I was about to say with that deep point, it's an easy single into the offside, but actually that was further in front of square. Just good hands from Stokes taking the pace off the ball and coming through for the single. He does that very well, much better than some other England players too. You know, you talk about Denley, he'll just sort of play drives, and if he misses the fielder or hits the fielder, it sort of doesn't seem to change the stroke. But Stokes will do that kind of thing every now and again.
I think it's a very good single there that he took. He's just realised where a man is. He's just dropping it into the space.
For Denley, 2 slips in the gully and the short extra cover. This one doesn't swing away. Southey getting one to angle back in, perhaps off the seam, and Denley beaten on the inside edge, as he often is. Does present a little bit of a gap between bat and pad, thuds into the thigh pad, or rather the top part of the pad. There is no run.
Yeah, this run rate creeping down now to 2.07. I think really England have just got to think about knocking it about a bit, picking up a few singles, haven't they? Just to get it going again, really.
England do occasionally go, as you were saying, Tim, too far the other way
They
from
do.
aggression.
Yep.
Last ball of the over from Southey is full outside off stump, and again dies before it gets to BJ Watling, who gets everything behind it. Through to the keeper it goes. There is no run. England 124 for 3.
Further newcomers in the Twitter sphere. Evil Scootus, hello, says, oh bugger, in other news, Pakistan survived 75 runs in 151 minutes, then lose 2 wickets and 3 balls.
Oh no!
As Shan Masood and Azhar Ali are both dismissed.
Oh, both openers.
And Kevin Potter says, hello, glad to be able to listen to a test with you fine gentlemen. Hope you've been well. We are well, thank you very much.
Yeah, very good.
I'm sure we're fine.
And
we are. I'm not
speak for yourself,
I'm not
Hendo.
sure if we're gentlemen.
There's plenty of cricket going on to keep us amused. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Pat Cummins got Shan Masood caught by Stephen Smith at second slip, and apparently a very good catch by Joe Burns diving forward to dismiss Azhar Ali off Josh Hazlewood. So Asad Shafiq and Haris Sohail are at the crease. Asad Shafiq got a really good 100 in one of the warm-up games.
I've always liked Asad Shafiq. Very
He's
good.
a very, very good player.
Has the cut shot beautifully.
Wagner in full outside off stump. Stokes tries to drive, but is a bit early on this stroke, and it comes off the inside part of the bat to Kane Williamson. There is no run. He does cut very well.
Yeah, he's wonderful off the back foot, Asad Shafiq. And of course, Babar Azam to come.
Oh, what glorious innings he played in that warm-up game. Coming into his own as a Test cricketer.
Well, you know, this is a test for him, isn't he? He hasn't scored any run. I think he averages 11, doesn't he, in Australia? But he's, you know, surely if he's going to come good, he's going to come good in this series.
In comes Wagner. Short ball. Stokes takes this on and pulls powerfully over the head of a short leg. It rasps into the deep square leg boundary for 4.
My word, it's one of these.
That's as many runs, well, it's actually doubled England's run total after tea, and it's the first boundary since the first ball of the 37th over. Which actually, I was thinking it might be. In fact, the fourth ball of the 44th over. We're now in the 61st.
Oh, God.
Full outside off stump. A little bit of in movement from Neil Wagner that time, and caught Stokes on the inside part of the bat. Good diving stop by Neil Wagner in his follow through to prevent any runs.
I got the impression that he actually fell over and then fielded it. I'm not sure he dived.
A
I think it was
fortuitous fall,
an
perhaps.
involuntary fall. Yes, absolutely. Think about. We haven't seen any spin today. I would have thought it's time to have a little look just to see if it's going to do anything.
And particularly with England apparently stuck.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad time for Santner to have a little bit of a twirl. He is a very clever bowler. He is someone who can tie up an end. As Wagner's in fourth ball of the over is foolish outside off stump, and Stokes leaves alone through to Watling it goes. There is no run.
Saw Ben Stokes before he came out to bat sitting next to the fielding coach Paul Collingwood, and they both had their arms folded, and they were a great advert for big forearms. It really was. It was like looking at, I don't know, a couple of lumberjacks.
A couple of Durham miners.
Yeah, something like that.
Have seen hide nor hair of Chris Silverwood, the England coach, on the balcony. Wagner in back of a length, put a little bit more effort into that one, and it bounced up just a little bit more. It took Stokes high-ish on the bat, but he defends solidly enough into the offside. There is no run.
As I said, I think he's hiding behind a Trevor Bayliss hat.
Well, either the New Zealand cameramen have no idea who he is, or are too busy on sexist cameraman watch.
It was said sexist cameraman, a very good character in Viz, I think you'll find.
Yep.
Mostly in South Africa these days, they're particularly bad for leering shots of women during matches. An attempted drive from Stokes, which might bring him 4, an outside edge which rolls through Ross Taylor's legs at first slip. Now a good dive from one of the slips, flicks it back to one of the other slips to Tom Latham, who flings the ball back over the stumps. Stokes picks up 2 a little bit luckily. I'm not quite sure how Stokes managed to get that to ground quite as quickly as he did, right off the bottom edge.
I think it's BJ Watling who's fielded that, you know. I think
It
he's
is,
chased after that with his pads on.
Flown over the boundary with his gloves and
flicked it back with his
It
glove.
was, yeah, good spot. That's an incredible chase from Watling with the pads on. What an impressive cricketer he is.
And he managed to get one of the gloves off while he was doing that, while he was chasing.
Presence of mind that man has.
Mark Ross has on Crick Tracker has a good between overs question. Who do we think is the best opening partnership as England chop and change every Test series? That's a great question, and I don't have an answer.
It's going to be Sibley and Burns for a little while.
Yeah.
Probably till the end of the South Africa series.
When Crawley will come in because Sibley was in the landfill.
It'll be Burns by then. It'll be Burns' turn. Southey in back of a length and nudged by Joe Denley into the vacant mid-wicket region. The man comes in off the deep square leg boundary.
Yes,
to field, there is no run. Too straight from Southey.
When for England batsmen they say who's next off the conveyor belt, they mean who's next on the end of the conveyor belt, falling off into the landfill, rather than off the production line into the huge bin.
Or like that scene in Toy Story 3 where they're going into the furnace.
Well, I was going to say, actually, if it's English landfill, that means it'll probably be put on a ship and sent to Malaysia, won't it?
Oh yeah, it's full of Shed 7 CDs.
It'll end up in that Pacific trash vortex.
Yeah. It's an amazing idea, isn't it, to send your rubbish to another country? It's extraordinary.
Who said the Empire was dead?
Yeah.
As Stokes faces up to Tim Southey, who comes in right arm over the wicket. Stokes back of a length and works this into the leg side. England starting to score just a little bit more freely in the last 6 balls, and they take the single to mid-wicket. Southey on that occasion going away from that fuller length that he's been working with certainly since lunch, and when it's back of a length the pitch is so easy paced that there's plenty of time for the batters to work it square of the wicket. It's what Dom Sibley was doing very well in his not that brief actually, but in his first Test innings. Denley on 43. He's been stuck in the 40s for an age. Gets a leg stump half volley, which he clips away, but there is a man at long leg, and he goes straight to him. The throw goes over BJ Watling's head, but is well backed up by Henry Nichols. Coming in from point, they come through for a single. Denley on to 44, Stokes on 9.
Well, you feel like maybe Stokes, if he does play a few more shots, might just give the impetus to Denley as well, who's not struggled exactly, but just hasn't scored freely since he got into the 30s, and has got a little bit stuck.
In comes Southey, a full delivery which angles across Ben Stokes. He waits for this and makes sure that he plays it late, and to Kane Williamson at mid-off it goes. There is no run.
On BJ Watling's fielding heroics, Anna Forsyth says not at all sloppy from BJ there, potentially with an eyebrow raised. Who knows? Who knows?
You're listening to Carry On Guerrilla Cricket.
Carry on commentating.
I didn't know the Carry On films were a big hit in Canada, to be honest, but maybe they were. Who knows?
Can I do my Sid James?
That's terrifying.
It's not a very good one, I have to say.
No, sorry.
In comes Southey, full outside off stump, and Stokes stretches forward and drives out to deep point. Jeetha Raval has quite a lot of ground to make up, and Stokes placed that nicely enough. They come through for 2, and there we see the disadvantage of having a man set back on the deep point boundary. That was an attempted cutter from Tim Southey. He does bowl that cutter quite well, that off cutter to the right-hander, but throwing it wide across Ben Stokes, if he gets anything on that at all, he's going to get 1 or 2.
Yeah, and also, and if you think that he's trying to cut off the boundary, that he still managed to get 2, I mean, that will be a kind of an annoyance. You don't really want more than 1 to come from that shot.
Stokes walks across to off stump, perhaps trying to access the leg side. Southey follows him, goes wide of off stump, through to the keeper it goes. There is no run. A little bit of the pressure released in that over. 5 runs off it, England 135 for 3.
Yes, a little bit. So I do think that's the point, though. If the previous over, Stokes hit 1 very good boundary and got 1 rather fortuitous boundary, but that has just got England moving.
Or not boundary, thanks to the stop from
it
Watling.
didn't go all the way, did it? That's right. But, he's moved on to 11 from 29. Denley 44 from 120.
Evil Scooter says, isn't it amazing to send your trash to another country? Isn't that pretty much why you folks colonised Australia, Hendo? No comment.
No, well, they weren't trash, were they?
No.
They'd done very Very minor, though, or they had
Although
very minor misdemeanours.
To make up for it, our national sporting teams are now re-accepting rubbish back from other countries and fielding them in lineups regularly.
Yep, that's also true. Got to change your bowling, have we
We
not?
do, yes. The left armers have been rotating at the mount end all day. So it was Neil Wagner's turn. It's now this man's turn.
How does he speak, or play the horn, or clean his teeth, or even yawn?
Oh, a beautiful delivery to start with.
Trent Bolt's mouth is really small.
Bolt didn't even bother with the warm-up there, straight to the end of his mark and hurtled in and got that one to cut across Joe Denley. A little bit of one where he just runs his fingers across the seam and zipped past the outside edge of Denley through to the keeper. There is no run. Great start from Trent Bolt.
Just a tiny bit short, perhaps.
2 slips in a gully and a shortish extra cover. Again, just a little bit short from Trent Bolt, not the full length that we're used to seeing up from him, looking for swing on that occasion, trying to angle it across Joe Denley. He plays with the open face on the bounce to gully. There is no run.
Yeah, also with Denley, I think we saw it during the summer quite a lot, and he got a bit lucky with it. He would sometimes try to leave the ball, but leave it a little bit too late, and then he would end up getting a sort of the underside of the bat, and it would run away for a boundary or something like that. And just sense that he did that then.
As Bolt is in back of a length, Denley in behind this one, much more solidly into the offside it goes. Extra cover comes into field, and there is no run. I'm reminded, who was it? When England were in the West Indies, it was in Barbados in the first test, when Kemar Roach was on that. Rory Burns and Johnny Bairstow both got out. Rory Burns got out like that, trying to lift the bat out of the way and hit the butt and smashed down into the stumps. And Bairstow tried to do the same thing and got hit on the elbow and it bounced back into the stumps. Perhaps not so likely here with the lack of bounce in this pitch. Denley leaves this one a dangerous prospect, perhaps, with Trent Bolt's ability to swing the ball back into the right-hander, but that was left comfortably enough past the off stump through to the keeper. There is no run.
I suppose you'd think, I mean, especially with a Kookaburra ball, that if there is a little bit of swing there's not a great deal, but maybe it's a little bit of reverse by now. We're into the 63rd over.
Yeah, it could be. Although the pitch is, the outfield's pretty lush, which doesn't tend to lend itself to reverse swing. Let's see if we can pick up the shiny side. That's a little bit straighter from Trent Bolt, back of a length on leg stump. Denley might be slightly annoyed that he missed out on that one. He just punched it to mid-on when perhaps the single was there to take to square leg.
And the other thing you've got to look at is what, with 18 overs, or less, fewer than 18 overs now until the new ball, that if they can keep England down to another 30 or so runs, they'll be taking new ball quite a handy position.
As Bolt does get this one to swing, but it started on middle and ended up on leg, and Denley was able to clip this away into the leg side. Henry Nichols had to throw off balance, which meant that Denley was able to come through for 2 quite comfortably. Maybe the new ball actually might not be a bad thing if Stokes and Denley have been batting together for a little while for England.
Yeah, as we always say, it just comes on a little bit quicker to the bat.
England 137 for 3 at the end of the 63rd over.
Yeah, Denley now just 4 short of another Test 50. So he's batted very solidly. 126 balls. We're going to have a change in a moment. Tony has arrived with Steve.
Still batting to come. Ollie Pope, Joss Butler and Sam Curran. And Jofra Archer has not really shown what he can do at Test level with the bat, but certainly has first-class numbers. Of course, we are aware of Jack Leach's batting heroics.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And Stuart Broad 11, a man with a Test century.
A big Test century.
169, yes, he has a good attack.
That's not just any old Test century.
No.
That is a cracking Test century.
It's a long time ago that we thought of Stuart Broad as almost a bowling all-rounder. Because you used to watch him play, and some of his stroke play through the offside and his authority at the crease. It's absolutely glorious to watch, and just it's all faded away. Southey in, get this one to angle across Ben Stokes, who punches this up to Kane Williamson, turns away in disgust as he does so. I think he was trying to aim that a little bit wider of cover, and there is no run. Tony is being environmentally discomforted by our technical director.
Yep. Link spare.
Steve Jones is looming unamused in the middle, and Bear is giggling away somewhere in the background. As Southey's in back of a length outside off stump, left alone by Ben Stokes. Taken by BJ
slowly
waddling behind the stumps.
wending
There
its
is
way-
no run.
Wending its way along the commentary line from your right of the screen as you look. Knuckle will be coiling over in a minute as well. John Perry joins us on Twitter. He says, "You're back.
We are.
I am never more grateful for your efforts than in Australia and New Zealand tests where you destroy your sleep schedules to entertain me through the working day in Tokyo. Hats off to you, sirs."
Thank you.
Thank you. Salute.
Southey's in, third ball of the over, right arm over the wicket to the left-handed Ben Stokes, who clips this very nicely off his toes. Trent Bolt comes round from long leg to field. They come through for 2, comfortably taken, because Stokes put it a little bit squarer of Trent Bolt, who was at an orthodox long leg. Stokes moves to 13. England at 139 for 3. Run scoring's been that little bit easier in the last few overs. They scored only 3 runs in the first 3 overs, I think, of this evening session, but broke the shackles a little bit with 11 runs in the next 2 overs. Southey in, full outside off stump. A lovely drive from Ben Stokes and a good diving stop from the man at cover, Mitchell Santner, diving full length. He's a weird fielder, Mitchell Santner. He does some fantastic things, diving catches and diving stops, but then will occasionally drop catches that hit straight at him. There is no run on this occasion. It was very good work diving to his wrong side.
Yeah, and I think Stokes will feel a bit sore about that because he timed that beautifully. It's probably one of the best timed shots of the day, certainly on the offside, and Santner did really well.
This New Zealand fielding team are really, really excellent. 5th ball of the over from Tim Southey. Stokes does unfurl the drive again and again. Doesn't get a boundary, but on this occasion got it squarer, and deep point comes round to field. That's probably more what you're setting a deep point for, is a single, at least getting the man off strike.
Well, I think he's moved him in front of square as well.
Deep cover point, almost.
Yeah.
And in the same position, I think, for Joe Denley, if I'm not much mistaken. I'll try and give you the field when I can. Tom Blundell is on as a sub-fielder for somebody.
He's not the keeper, isn't he, Blundell?
He is. Scored 100 on a test debut.
Right.
So got 2 slips and a gully point, sort of a cover point, a short extra cover, mid-off and mid-on. 2 men back on the hook as Southey's in, last ball of the over. Solidly defended by Joe Denley. On the bounce back to the bowler, there is no run. Denley's on 46, still crawling towards 50. Ben Stokes is injecting a little bit of impetus in this innings. He's on 14. And England have made solid enough progress after tea. And the next few voices you will hear will be those of Steve Jones, Nigel the Bear Walker, and Tony Bishop.
The best things in life are free. Just like Gorilla Commentary, we need money. That's what I want. We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Gorilla Commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want. Don't just buy a t-shirt.
Well, indeed, a changing of the guard in the commentary positions. Tony Bishop 1. That's me. Steve Jones to my left on your tweets, and to my right, jingles and
things.
Other things. It's the bear.
Careful, I'm quite gracious.
Now the issue, I think, for England might be if they carry on at this rate, they'll be at about 155, 160 to 170 when the new ball comes around.
I know. It might actually be easier to score off the new ball though.
Well, that could be true.
And it might come off the pitch a little bit quicker and onto the bat a little bit better. Because I mean, this pitch is as dead as a door now.
At the moment, that does seem to be the case. I mean, Root, I think you have to feel, slightly gave his wicket away.
Very much no, not slightly.
Yeah,
guided it, slip catching.
I think for de Grandon's 2 wickets, you would credit him for just for smart bowling, as this is left alone outside of his off stump by the left-handed Ben Stokes. It's through to Watling. It's quite windy there. The flags are
picking up a bit, isn't it? The wind.
Yeah, the wind is there, and there is a fair bit of cloud as we look up and over beyond towards the city end, as it were, and away from the Mount End. 100 in the mountain, 140 for 3. Stokes is facing Trent Bolt. Left arm over for Bolt. Perfectly into line, Ben Stokes pushed back to the bowler.
Little message, Dave M. Hi from Dallas, listening intently to you guys.
Well, hello.
Hoping for a Stokes entry. Keep up the good work, thank you.
Well, that's a great pleasure and nice
It's
to
our
have you with us.
pleasure, Dave.
Do you think, is that writing on Stokes' arms?
Oh, you're talking about it's like his
His
sleeve, his tattoo
tattoos.
sleeve.
Yeah.
Hearing
What it
now
says.
Bolt is in, and Stokes just pushes this to mid-off. No run. Kane Williamson gives the ball a polish. Looking for whatever they can get out of it in this next 14-15 overs before they do take that new ball. I'd be very surprised, unless there was suddenly a clatter of wickets, you'd expect the new ball to be taken, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Unless
Especially it being a kookaburra, there'll be nothing left of it by the time you get to 80 overs.
Bolt is in. Now, a bit of swing there. Gentle swing, nothing too extreme, but swinging away from the left-handed Stokes and through to the wicket-keeper.
Starting a little bit too
On the
wide
bounce
as
as well,
wasn't
wasn't it? To the keeper.
Yeah, there was really not a lot there.
Why are they showing replays of Root all the time?
I don't know.
I think there's a discussion around his technique. He's still slightly feeling for the ball rather than letting it come onto the bat is probably, I suspect, the discussion.
Slightly in front of
I
his
would
eyes.
observe. And this one is worked nicely off his legs, straight onto legs a little bit by Trent Bolt. It's worked back on a square leg. And they will take a single. Stokes will move on to 15. Denley crawling his way like an asthmatic snail.
The nervous 40s.
It's been in the nervous 40s for
a very
I can't
long
remember.
time.
I think I was in short trousers when he started this innings. 46 he has off 127 balls, but crucially,
he's still there.
Crucially, he is still there,
Preserving his wicket.
He's got Trent Bolt to deal with, and deal with it he does. Very tidily, in fact. 141 for 3. The run rate a shade over 2.
And going downwards all the time.
Well, it is. It is. It's the old adage, and we probably say it in every single match that involves more than one innings. You don't know until both sides are batted.
No, you don't.
True.
And I don't think it's going to be easy for them to bat. I mean, they might know the conditions slightly better, but it's just not coming onto the bat.
But the one thing you can say that New Zealand have by and large done, well, they have done magnificently, and they've done particularly after lunch, is they've really given England next to nothing to work with.
No.
Next to nothing. They've been absolutely tight. They've strangled the batting, and England I've got frustrated. Sibley, I think, was getting a little frustrated. Burns, you could see, was getting frustrated, and Root was struggling, and he was getting frustrated, and they've just bowled tightly. If the wicket's not offering you a huge amount, if the ball's not offering you a huge amount, just make the batsman play and make it hard to score. And they've done that in exemplary fashion. And the man who's done that perhaps in more exemplary fashion than at most is the man bowling now, Colin de Condom, who's going to be in, a right arm around the wicket. Oh, and squares Stokes up, and that squirts away past backward point. And it might go all the way. No, it won't. There's a man, it's Jeet Raval, who's patrolling that deep backward point boundary, and Stokes will get 2. He probably came out for 3 actually, didn't he?
Only 2.
Only took 2?
But you can see the way that's how slow it's coming onto the bat. He's trying to turn that into the leg side, and he's getting a leading edge. You know, he's through the shot so early.
He did, as in comes de Grandon. This one is slightly uppishly fenced away to Henry Nichols at mid-wicket.
Should we give him a jingle? It's a rather good one.
CDG or Henry?
CDG.
Oh, CDG. Oh, absolutely.
I was gone, I cannot see my own reflection now. My body's gone, my face is gone. I have become Colin de Grandon.
And that has given it as a no ball,
we got
in
no
fact, and no free hit though, Bear.
No,
these ones.
no.
Stokes, by the way, for once, poor old Colin de Grandon. Every time he bowls, when we try and squeeze that jingle in, you never get to the end of it.
Yeah,
so I took a chance. I'd let it roll through, but there was just that no ball. He makes up for that with an absolutely on the money ball on a perfect length towards middle stump that is defended by Stokes.
I think they should bring the free hit into Test cricket.
I think de Grandhomme needs to get a longer run up so we can get the jingle in future.
Yep. Well, he needs a longer run up. That's probably true. He bustles in off a comparatively short run, doesn't he? Does CDG?
Messages says that riding on Stokes' arm is almost certainly the lyrics of his jingle.
Could well be.
I wish that was true.
De Grandhomme. Ooh, that was an interesting bounce. It was thrown up quite wide of Stokes' off stump and seemed to just cut back. So it was a bit of a cutter, but started so wide it was had very little to trouble Ben Stokes on that occasion. 144 for 3. 2 runs and a no ball. Yeah, Watling had
just
to
wanted to say Watling.
Wattle down at sort of ankle height for that one. Colin de Grandhomme barrels his way in again. Ooh, and that takes a bit of an edge. It's away to the man at gully, kind of 4-slip gully. I think it's is that Saudi? Well, a little bit of swing, not especially comfortably played by Stokes, who
the use of that outside edge of the bat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, it's not.
Well, that one
it's
came
not
back
been
into
easy.
That one came back into him rather than going away from him as well. Though.
It's not been easy as Colin de Grandhomme is in again. That one was thrown up wide and very little indeed to trouble Stokes on that occasion. So a curious mixed bag of an over.
Well,
but Colin de Grandhomme 2 for 26. I seem to remember he was on 2 for 22 for what seemed like forever.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I seem to,
7 overs ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was positing a lot earlier that I couldn't understand why with such a dead wicket they got rid of Lockie Ferguson, but maybe they're the only kind of bowlers you'll be able to score against who actually add some genuine pace to the ball, and that may actually come onto the bat.
Well, that'll make how Jofra Archer and Stuart Broad go about their work extremely interesting, I suspect. And maybe this is a wicket more suited for Curran.
Dobblers.
So we shall see. We shall see as Trent Boult, his left arm over the wicket into Denley, who is quite happy being on 46. I think
he's been there a while.
He's pretty much decided that he's moved into 46. He's going to stay there till he retires, probably.
This is my address.
Yeah, he's number 46.
Mount
Bay Oval, Mount Maunganui. That's where I'm going to be until he retires or turns up his toes, I suspect, because he doesn't seem to be in a hurry. And again, as if to prove the point, forward he comes, pushed away to the offside, no run. 46 is where he stays.
We spent the entire summer complaining they couldn't defend the fucking ball. Now, now we want them to get on with it.
There you go. You see, we are just. This is sports fans.
We're picky.
This is sports fans. We're never satisfied.
No, never.
It's too fast. It's too slow. They're too cavalier. They're not cavalier enough. They're too cautious.
It's our right, though.
It is. Indeed. As in comes Boult, driven straight to cover, and there is that placed ring of fielders on the offside, and that was not going to penetrate those, although it did at least show some aggressive intent from Joe Denley. Number 35 for Trent Boult, who's not found the going easy, but he's certainly plugged away accurately enough. And England still on 144 for 3. We're in the 67th over, halfway through it in fact. As in comes Boult, short! And Denley is plenty of time to get himself underneath that. So again, no run. And although it was short, it was taken again it was well on its way down.
Yeah.
For BJ Watling behind the stumps. What are we seeing here? There seems to be some smoke. Oh, it's a barber.
It's a fire. Sorry, fire.
No. Left outside the off stump again by Denley as Bear struggles to articulate the word fire.
The first day is always a struggle, isn't it? Because I've been up all day and I'm up all night.
You have.
But now I'll go home and sleep and I'll get up at 1 in the afternoon. By the time I get here, it'll be sort of early evening.
Yep.
Equivalent. And so hopefully tomorrow I'll have a lot more energy.
Well, I dragged you in to help with the podcast, didn't I?
Yes.
So twice.
Yeah.
Through actually no fault of my own, I might say why it was done in 2 instalments, but there we go.
No,
As Denley flexes his knee muscles, which are in danger of growing roots out of his toes and into the Maunganui turf. And this one is just dabbed away to point. No run.
Well, no, we should point out the reason was because these fucking computers are so slow. And, you know, if you really want to help us out, go to Patreon. Go to Patreon. Become a patron. Help us out. We know you all love us. £10 a month, and you get us on your little ticker that goes along the top of and the bottom of our screens.
You'll be immortalised.
You'll be immortalised
in
on
our
Facebook
coverage.
and YouTube.
Hooray. Evil School Scooters. England playing risk-averse sensible test cricket? Question mark. Nah, this will never catch on. Meanwhile, Pakistan now have lost 4 wickets for 3 runs.
Oh,
So-
God.
Oh, they were going nicely as well.
Yeah.
They were
60
I
off
wouldn't
for
say they were
Norway,
cruising,
yeah.
but yeah, they were in good order. Ah, well, there you go.
Yeah, slumped to 78 for 4. Jeff Perkins sends us a score flash.
Aha, as in comes de Grandhomme, who seems to have found a line now wide of off stump, hoping that the ball is going to jag back almost square, which it isn't. So it seems to me that in the absence spare of too much extravagant movement either now in the air or off the pitch, or indeed bounce, they're almost trying to toss the ball a little bit wider and frustrate
Bowling
the England
dry.
batsmen.
Bowling dry, isn't it?
Bowling dry, mate. That's what it is. In comes de Grandhomme. This one is more onto the off stump of Ben Stokes.
And
He pushes that away comfortably enough.
Messages just confirms an opening stand of 75 and they're now 78 for 4.
78 for 4 now. Wow.
Baba gone for 1.
Collapso. Well, most teams have got these collapses in them these days. As this one is
Absolutely.
again left by Ben Stokes through to Waddle.
Well, you find this a lot though in Australasian continent. I mean, when we were in the Ashes last time in England, you know, one of the ways Anderson was so economic was he just bowled dry when the ball got slightly older. It wasn't particularly threatening.
De Grandhomme. Forward comes Stokes. Pushed to mid-off. No run.
And you're kind of relying on the batsman getting bored and making a mistake, you know.
Yep. Indeed.
And then you wait for the new ball and you try and pick up however many wickets you can get with it. I thought, you know, New Zealand to a certain degree got a bit lucky. Roots giving his wicket away, and with the new ball they bowled a bit too short, I thought.
Here comes de Grandhomme. Wide of that off stump again. Left alone studiously by Ben Stokes, who must be just ticking a little bit inside with a desire to get moving, although he's shown commendable patience in a number of his innings recently, hasn't he?
He's certainly developed that way, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is,
taking on the responsibility.
Indeed, batting up at 5.
Genuine all-rounder these days.
He is. 144 for 3. De Grandhomme is in, driven this time, wristily, but straight down to Raval, who's down there at deep cover, or indeed on the boundary, and they will just take a single.
No real timing in that either, was there? Really?
Big stride out of his ground as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed. How are we doing on
Mog just
messages?
sends Mog sends a question actually. Are you still threatening the custom jingle tier on Patreon?
Well, yeah, we do.
There you go, Mog. We do.
I can't remember someone taking up it.
Well, maybe because we don't talk about it enough. There is a. Do you have to reach a particular level of donation on Patreon?
$30 a month for 3 months or something. It's really good of us to know our own marketing tool. It's quite difficult to do time things on. Maybe we should just do it as a one-off fee.
This is like Boris Johnson explaining his Brexit policy.
Well,
the lack of certainty about what exactly he has promised.
Don't get me going there, Tone.
It's something like $30 a month for 3 months.
But
there is a way. It's written up on the website.
Yeah, it's written up on the Patreon website. There you go.
As in comes Wagner, and clipped nicely off his toes by Stokes down to mid-wicket. Well, more sort of square leg, really. And they'll take a single. Kiwi Callie is, I know, one of the
She's one. Knuckles have
recipients.
One. In fact, the last person who had one may have even been Neil Franklin. You might remember Neil. But well, the other thing
Of
was, I
course.
kept asking him. You achieved your jingle status, and you never got back to us.
Achieved jingle status. I like that.
The beer's flowing in.
Well, there's a lady there who is absolutely fast asleep in the sunshine. I've got an element of sympathy with her actually at the moment. As in comes Mr. Wagner, driven by Stokes, but driven.
It's not by Stokes, it's by
straight-
Denley.
Sorry, by Denley, but straight to cover.
Thank you, Bear.
Oh, did you remember something? Or
No.
No, he just did something.
I think we're going to remember something.
You know that clip we were looking at?
Yeah, exactly. Has anyone seen that clip?
It's all right. You don't need to explain it. We'll try and focus on the cricket.
Hard as it
1
is.
for 50 from Wagner. 146 for 3 England. Stokes on 19. Denley
Rapidly catching Denley.
He's still building an extension on his number 46.
He's moved!
He is building an extension. He's moved to 2 or 3 doors up the road. He's gone all the way and he's got his 50.
Well done.
That's a beautiful shot, actually.
Well played.
He's got one of these.
50 runs.
This was a
Well
commissioned.
played, Joe Denley.
This was a commissioned jingle from
It was.
Patreon.
Well done, well done.
It was.
50 runs. In 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
Beautifully, expertly threaded through cover by Joe Denley as Wagner is into him again. Left. Ooh, a well-judged lead. You might have heard a sharp intake of breath from Steve to my left. And with some justification, it was very well judged by Joe Denley. Now, the thing for Denley here is not to do a Burns.
No.
Who got himself
gotta go
to
on.
50 and then kind of got himself out a little bit.
Or a route and get out for 70 or 80.
Well, not today.
Well, not today, no.
Because if one of these two, if Denley, who's now set, but scarcely scoring quickly, can get a big score, then England will themselves be well set. This is way too mid-off. There's no run.
Well, I tell you, England need minimum 350 here, don't they? And that looks like it's taking 2 days at the moment.
Yeah, well, it kind of does, doesn't it?
And then 2 days for the. I wonder whether the spin will come into this pitch. Quite a fancy Leach. I mean, it looks so dry and slow.
Yeah.
Well, he studiously avoids Santner so far, hasn't he,
Yeah.
Williamson? So.
That might be a little bit early. And to be honest, his pace bowlers have been so frugal and not giving England hardly anything to work with. As in comes Wagner.
Oh,
and that.
Oh, wow.
We just have been saying, as a trio, what Denley really needs to do here is get his head down, consolidate his 50, look for a big score. He wafts at one that simply wasn't there to waft at, and fortunately for him, does not get an edge, but could so easily have done.
we just saw a glimpse of those men in the Kiwi gimp suits.
All Blacks.
What are those? They're not gimp suits, those, but what are they called? Maybe they are.
Well,
gimp
they're
suits.
kind of gimp suit-like. They're like the Blue Man suit.
The Blue Man suits. They have a name though. That it isn't Blue Man suits, but they are Blue Man suits. I know what you mean. Only these, of course, are all black suits. We have our character from Zulu, who thinks he's defending Rorke's Drift rather than watching a Test match. In comes de Grandon, worked away off his legs by Stokes, straight to mid-wicket, no run. 150, of course, is up. Simultaneously with Denley getting his 50, England reached their 150. So I can tell you that Denley has precisely 1/3 of the runs accrued to date by England, because my maths is that good.
Well done.
150 for 3. Round the wicket comes de Grandon, and Stokes just pushes out. Am I missing something? Oh no, we're just looking at some highlights of Joe Denley's career. 31 he averages, 30, well, getting on for 32 now. 507 England runs in 9 matches, 17 innings. And he's a fighter.
Yeah,
gotta give him his
that.
credit. He's a fighter. In comes de Grandon. Stokes once again, very solid, very correct, and not particularly excitingly, but maybe that's not what is needed right now.
I mean,
150 for 3.
If no one's there to, outstanding to take the place off Denley, you can't really drop him with the runs he sort of, considering that, he came in, opened in the Ashes and sorted that position out because it was going horribly wrong.
And it comes to Grandon, left by Stokes. Well, it's all about balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to be honest, if you've got Pope, you've got Butler, you've got Root when he's on song, you've got Curran coming in down the order.
You've got Butler.
Well, yeah, I said Butler. I mean, England are not short of players who can get quick runs. Stokes seems to be kind of Renaissance man these days. He can play whatever a situation may demand.
You can certainly accelerate.
There's that one, not particularly off the middle of the bat, but Henry Nichols at mid-wicket is going to have to do some chasing. He will restrict them to just a single. 151 for 3.
Couple of messages. Scaramouche asks, is Wagner bouncing him? If he ain't, he should.
Well, he tried. He's done it on and off.
He certainly put his back into a whole flurry earlier. There was a spell where Denley just seemed to wait for those and pick him with pull shots every time. Then that died off fairly quickly.
I have an explanation.
And for what?
Denley.
Oh, okay. Watch it. Well, just hold that thought for a moment.
After this ball.
As you've got me, my curiosity is piqued as de Grandhomme is in. Denley is forward. De Grandhomme fields off his own bowling, and the explanation is.
Anna Forsyth says, should have warned you that I got up from the TV, so Denley was bound to get his 50. So it's Anna's fault. But thank you, Anna, because it was getting a bit boring on 46.
There you are, 151 for 3.
Mog says, as long as that guy in the red cast costume is doing Rorke's drift and not is.
Is this something you can't read? Have you gone halfway through a tweet and thought, hello, there's nowhere I can go here?
No, I can do it. Is Andalwana.
I beg your pardon?
Is Andalwana. It should be fine.
Oh, okay. I'm actually sounding like I know what I'm talking about
I've got
there.
no idea. Sorry,
you've lost me, Mog.
But I'm sure Mog will explain for
it. Maybe your superior historical knowledge of the battles of the Boer War. Anyway, 151 for 3. For England, 50 for Joe Denley off 140 balls,
all down
20 for Ben Stokes, 50 already today for Burns, although he was out rather disappointingly.
And his was 138 balls, so this is only marginally slower than Denley.
We're going to see some more of Neil Wagner, who does like to bowl long spells. He's left arm over the wicket, just a shade of away movement from the left-handed Stokes, and through to BJ Watling.
Great story from the Jersey Jingler here.
Oh yes.
Old Trafford for the Viv 189 not out one day. The tickets were stickers, so my mate bought one, then sneaked to the fence and passed it through to me. I stuck it on my shirt and walked in.
You could just keep doing that with your mates, couldn't you? Just
if you watch the video in the game, you can see
the gate.
You can see the brightly coloured stickers on folks' shirts.
Oh, how funny! That's brilliant.
Brilliant story.
In comes Wagner. Stokes. Well, how would we describe that? I'd say we would describe that as an aggressive block drive. Thank you. It had a hint of aggression, but never really looked like a shot that was going to get him a run.
No.
151 for 3 still.
On a faster pitch. With
possibly, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I mean,
sort of
he has impeccable timing, doesn't he, Stokes? I mean, you often see him block defensive drives back, that race back past the bowler for forward. This pitch is just so slow. I think it's quite difficult to time stuff, isn't it?
Comes Wagner. Left.
I think it might have been close.
Stokes.
Mog replies, Jesus, what do they teach you people in school if not classic massacres of British troops?
No, we don't know. We don't
I suspected that was the case.
We don't get taught any of that stuff. We only get taught glorious victories, Mog.
A message as follows with things you expect to hear on Guerrilla Cricket number 209. You've lost me, Mog.
Well, yeah. No, to his eternal credit.
They're waking up out there.
I'm sure it was historically accurate.
Totally
in comes Wagner, and that rather inside edged away into the leg side by Stokes, who knows, shaking his head, knows he didn't really play that in anything like the way he wanted to.
It's been a regular shot, isn't it? The inside and outside edges.
Inside half of the bats, yeah.
It's just
tells you something about the pitch.
Also have to credit the bowlers for relentless accuracy, which I think has been very impressive from New Zealand today, and could on other days have probably netted a better reward. This one is just short and wide, and of course, as soon as I say that, for the first time in a while, width is offered and Stokes is onto it like a flash. 4 runs.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Yep. maybe a little bit weary from Wagner as we get later on in the day. And Stokes just crashed that away through point for 4 fabulous runs. It looks like we are about to have a change of the guard, presumably at the end of this over.
I think so. It's 4 o'clock in the morning now, peeps.
It's
Only an hour to
4
go.
in the morning, and a new day is dawning, as Farron Young once sang. And that is pushed away into the onside by Stokes. There's no run. 155 for 3 England, 24 Stokes, 50 of 140 balls for Joe Denley. Knackle, Tim, and you have someone else lurking behind you, the wonderful Jason.
He was snoring earlier.
We will see you later.
Alternative cricket commentary. Bringing you laughs, bringing you jingles, bringing you joy. We are Gorillas. We need your... Patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
Hello, welcome back. England are 155 for 3 off 71 overs, coming into what is allegedly the last hour of this first day of the first test in New Zealand. And we have a change of bowling, which, to my right, Jason Hiscox will now jingle up.
Yes, and it's the one that we were talking about in the green room.
Indeed it was.
Where is he? He is...
There he is.
Sentinor baby, get some drift into the pads for me. Been an awful good Kiwi. Sentinor baby, and dart them in quickly tonight.
And to my left is on the tweets. Please do keep tweeting in, commenting on Crick Tracker on Facebook and YouTube. It is Nakul M. Pandey.
Yeah, and glad to see Santner in. It would have been, I think, perverse not to have a look at him before the second new ball. Only 9 overs
Absolutely.
due, so Colin de Grandon's been given a little bit of a rest. Santner, a very clever bowler, changes his pace really well.
He is a tricky customer. You certainly saw that in the World Cup.
Gives ball much more of a tweak than you think.
He does, slightly strange action, but he certainly is effective. Here he comes in first ball, left arm over the wicket, and that is prodded down by Denley. It's the man at short leg, but who feigns the throw in. That's Latham.
I think Latham's annoyed himself that he didn't actually throw it.
And Denley has just about... He set off for the run there. Oh, he is out of his ground, but Latham didn't let the ball go. You're quite right. Had he done so, Denley would have been very tight. Anyway, Santner back in, left arm around the wicket, and that's just tickled off the outside edge as Denley comes slightly tentatively forward, and that's run down to third man, where Trent Boult does the fielding and wangs it back in on the bounce to BJ Watling.
Denley showed during the Ashes that he's not averse to coming down the track, and actually he's probably of all of England's batters, probably the best at coming down the track using his feet to the spinners. He did it to Nathan Lyon quite a lot.
He would have been in trouble there. Anyway, Santner again, left him round the wicket, ambles up, and that is on a good length, good line, and Denley just leans forward, knocks into the covers, and there is no run.
Much improved bowler in the last few years, Mitchell Santner. He used to rather just put the ball there, but now you can see he's really trying to give the ball a rip. There's a little bit
more
of drift,
more variation, absolutely.
Little bit of dip, yeah.
Santner in again, and that's slightly on leg stump, just going on straight, and Denley knocks it into the leg side to Raval for no run. Here's a good stat. They're just flashing up on the screen. New Zealand wicket takers in their last 6 home tests: pace 94, spin none.
Wow.
Here's Santner the spinner. Just stop ball on middle and off, and Denley again just leans forward.
Unbelievable.
That is amazing. 94-0 over the last 6 tests. Shocking. Anyway, Santner in again for his last ball of the over, and slightly short. Denley leans into it. It beats the man at short extra cover, but doesn't beat mid off, and that is the end of the over.
That's almost a Gibraltar under 19 football score there.
Absolutely.
Pirate Badshah put a poll out earlier. Which would you rather listen to, not Fred commentary or crowd noise? Crowd noise won 68 to 32.
What a surprise. Well done, Twitter. You have served your purpose.
The man who says way would have said way on that.
And Anna Forsyth has been sorting out her photo albums. She appears to have made an album devoted entirely to Stephen Finn. Hashtag things I did while Denley was on 46.
And why not? Actually, from that photo, how many photos does she have in the Steve Finn folder?
11.
11? a restraining order in the post to you.
Well, I think that's only beginner level stalkering.
I mean, Joe Denley was in the 40s for 41 balls, so you had plenty of time.
Plenty of time to discover an England player on the bowler landfill this time, Steve Finn. Who he?
He's commentating out there. He's out in New Zealand commentating for the BBC.
Wagner back, and Stokes climbs into a pool there, steepling bounce on off stump, but it's just going to be a single as it goes down to the bowl of the last over, Mitchell Santner, at deep mid wicket, and just for the single run, Stokes moves on to 25 off 65, ticking along nicely. He's looked very secure today, much more so than any other batsman, even the obdurate Joe Denley and Rory Burns earlier in the innings. Mitchell Santner, last bowler Test career now. He's averaging 24.35 with the ball. Sorry, that's the bat. No, they're showing his batting statistics while he's bowling, as you would when he's fielding, because Sky. Yep. Denley, 52 on 146, keeping the side afloat, seeing through the hundreds of Wagner in again, and that's on leg stump. Denley whips it off the pads nicely, and he's going to pick up a couple there as Matt Henry fielding on for somebody. Throws it back in, another 2 to the total.
Yeah, we've seen both of New Zealand's sub-fielders on.
Blundell's on, or it may still be on, and Matt Henry now. I don't know who's off exactly. We'll see if we can work that out.
I think Bolton Southey were just taking a little bit of a break before the new ball.
They're
probably getting their bowling boots on.
Yes, their toilet breaks and massages and whatnot. So Denley on strike. Wagner in again, left arm over the wicket, and Denley just Steve Smith-like, shoulders arms extravagantly, turns his back on it, and goes back to scratching out his mark again.
If that was Steve Smith, it's a very restrained Steve Smith.
Oh yes, on a 0 to Steve Smith scale, that was very
Steve
much
Smith
at the
on
North
tramadol.
Morg asks, is that Test spinner stat from the point Vittori retired? No, it's the last 6 home tests.
Yeah.
So it's just so it's well after Daniel Vittori.
Indeed, that wouldn't be many wickets if it were that. Anyway, Wagner in again for the 4th ball is over, left arm over, and that's just on off stump. Denley leans into a drive, but doesn't beat the man at short extra cover. No run.
Just refreshing all of the various social media outlets there, but to make sure that we're plenty up to date.
Please do send your messages in. Keep us company on these long, cold, lonely nights in Gorilla Towers.
Well, it's not been lonely.
No, it hasn't been lonely.
It's been chocker.
Bloody loads of us tonight, hasn't there? But as the series goes on, please do keep us sustained with social media. Wagner in again. Joe Denley just blocks on the front foot to the man at short extra cover again, and that is no run.
For without content, we are nothing.
Indeed.
And for the bear, booze as well.
Yes, or pizzas. We also like pizzas.
Yeah, probably not at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning, whatever it is.
I'm quite peckish. Actually, yeah, it is. It's just gone 4 in the morning. Coming up for breakfast.
It's a whole new meaning for pizza for breakfast when you have hot pizza.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Mitchell Santner averages 39.15 with the ball. I'd like to see his economy rate, though. I think it's probably pretty good.
Wagner in again. That's same line again. Joe Denley just steps behind it, taps it down to short extra cover. Yet again, no run.
I mean, if you reverse those, you've got a seriously good cricketer.
Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, his numbers are a -15 at the moment, which is not particularly great.
No, New Zealand's not the easiest place to bowl spin, of course, but and he doesn't play every test, but yeah, those numbers could do with some improving.
That's what Santner aspires to be as underappreciated as Jacques Callis.
That's a very good claim to be one of the all-time great cricketers.
Yes,
one of the sort of 4 or 5 best cricketers of all time.
He doesn't get as much love as he deserves.
No, absolutely not. We do have some comments on Crick Tracker. Vinod Kumar says hi. Khalid says hello.
Hello.
Subhadeep Mondal. Vinod Kumar again. Momun Ahmed. Sonu Moria. Shalaudin Jitendra Chaudhary says hi. Good morning. Linto Joseph says hey. Kumar Chandan Mishra is bigging up MS Dhoni, the lesser spotted MS Dhoni these days.
Indeed.
Mohammed Minto Sheikh says hello. Mark Ross says no Bairstow lads, and says would this have been your starting 11 or would you have had anyone different in place?
I think Bairstow would have given his problems with his technique, and that he was told to go away to the domestic game and sort it out.
On current form and situation, I'd obviously if Anderson was fit, if Anderson
and Mark Wood is due to be fit for South Africa. Moeen Ali is potentially coming back for South Africa, so England have a few players ready, but I think I think we actually may have discussed this earlier. This was the team that was predicted going into the series, and pretty happy with it. I think Curran over Wokes is probably about the right selection in these conditions, particularly given that Wokes has become a bit of a target against the short ball, which Wagner is very, very good at.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you think Stokes been overworked or just been a bit off the boil?
Wokes?
Yeah, combination of both?
No, I thought he was superb during the World Cup. And at times good with the ball. Obviously, he was brilliant against Ireland in that Lord's test, but no, he just wasn't quite at it at times. And Sam Curran,
he's just
as they say, makes things happen.
He does make things happen.
It's that little bit of zip that appears to have gone out of his game again for some things. I mean, very early on in his career, we could be lined up, and certainly one day we could be lined up. He was very samey. I mean, what's his strength and his weakness in the same time? Yeah,
his predictability and his very sort of not straight up and down exactly, because he does swing the ball, but his very sort of classical side-on front fast bowler's action. Manvinder Kushal says, good morning, everybody. Govind Singh says, good morning. Chirag Jain wants 2 more wickets. Rabi Alam says, good. And Jan Angelo Vargas says, haha.
Indeed, haha.
Not aha.
No. Aha! Let's not go there.
We are in the Partridge Graveyard
indeed,
shift.
In case you're wondering what is going on in Maunganui, the Bay Oval, the players are having a drinks break because it's incredibly important to stay hydrated, both in the studio and indeed on the field of play. And so the cameraman and Sky are focusing on a man who's had a sip of beer and is now... Oh no, it's the cameraman himself.
It's the cameraman.
It did look like he was about to take a leak behind the score. The sight screen.
No, having been chugging a beer down on the bank, the grassy bank,
break.
He's now gone back to his position and pulled his hood very tightly over his head in shame.
On YouTube, Robert Miller says, not the best run rate, 2 runs and over. New Zealand's bowling's been disciplined, not always particularly penetrative, but England have found it hard work, but they're sticking at it.
You can only play what is in front of you.
Zahid Shakil says, what's the score?
George Dawes, that's the score. Another pop culture reference for Hendo to completely not get.
England are 160 for 3. Paul Torkington says, you not only entertain, you also save me from having to listen to Craig Cumming, which I think is worthy of statehood. And Super Star Dub giving us those updates from the Australia-Pakistan game about the back-to-back strikes for Hazelwood and Cummins, and then start getting Harsahale and then Barber getting out. And I've just seen the Barber Azam dismissal, and it's very James Vince.
Oh, excellent. Love a good James Vince dismissal. Yes, so thank you all for commenting. We do aim to provide a public service. We are not an official public service broadcaster. We aim to add value.
Nor are we the banned public service broadcasting.
No, we are not. No, although we do have strong musical creds, obviously. Right, plays to resume. Stokes on strike, 25 or 65. Santner to resume the second over, 0 for 2. Here he is, left arm round the wicket, and over the wicket. And Stokes just punches it gently through mid-on, and they trot through for a single. Wagner doing the fielding, and Stokes has looked good. 26 off 66, bubbling along nicely. And he has looked an awful lot more secure than anyone else. Just seems to be really solid behind the ball, never rushed. Even the edges go to nice places. So Santner reverting to right and round the wicket for Denley, and that's on leg stump. Denley just taps it away to mid-wicket, who gobbles it up, and there is no run there.
There's only been one real false shot that I can remember from Ben Stokes, and that was very early on in the innings where he tried to turn the ball and it went squished out to along the floor into the gully area.
Yeah.
There was that toe end that went between Taylor's legs at first slip.
That turn. Santner in again, that arched into middle and just nipped back slightly too off, and Denley was caught slightly surprised. Sort of wrapped the bat and the pad at the same time and just pops gently off his pad into the ground just in front of him. No run there. Quickly around, Santner running through these overs now. He's in, left arm over the wicket, and Denley goes for a lofted drive. It was right in the slot, and that has taken 3 bounces and a bit of a run for one of these.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
I mean, even though I was the one who mentioned Joe Denley's love of coming down the track and hitting over the top, even I was surprised by that.
Well, it was there to be hit. He just planted the front foot as part of his trigger movement, slight adjustment of the foot to his left, and there it was to be punched over extra cover region. Great shot from Denley. and quite low risk. No fielder out there. Santner again spears it into the middle, slightly fuller. Joe Denley just walks around it and punches it straight back down the track to Santner.
I can tell you Pakistan are sinking further. Iftikhar Ahmed caught by Marnus Labuschagne off the bowling of Nathan Lyon for 7. Pakistan were 94 for 5.
Oh God. Santner in again for the final ball of his over. Denley again. That's gone all the way for our first one of these of the day.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
It's a similar shot, really. And it's just he's got a bit straighter.
Yeah.
Again, it's that press onto the front foot, and then he just moves his front foot out to the left to open himself up to get the bat through the line of the ball, and he's pinged that beautifully back over the bowler's
It was
head.
speared in at more of the leg stump this time, and he's picked up the line, but then at the last minute he's just leaned his body over to go with the drift of the ball and lofted it beautifully over mid-on, and the guys in their morph suits are now talking to the police. What is going on here? If you're not watching television, these guys wearing all-in-one black silver ferns lycra cat suits with hoodies nonetheless, and they're also wearing big hats, and the police talk to them, presumably for public indecency. Anyway, Wagner on the over now, stock ball on the off stump, and that Stokes just punches it down to mid-off for no run.
Yeah, a bit of an issue for Williamson if he can't go to Mitchell Santner for control. I mean, not that either of those two deliveries were bad deliveries particularly, but Denley very keen to hit down the ground and over the top.
Just means that Mitchell Santner will have to bowl slightly faster and slightly flatter, I think.
Wagner again, right arm over the wicket, and Stokes just leans onto the front foot to knock it down for no run.
Or to Stokes, who is probably not as aggressive against the spinners as some. Even in that epic in Headingley, he was troubled by Nathan Lyon on a number of occasions. He tends to be a bit static at the crease, Ben Stokes. He doesn't really come down the track very much.
Yeah, I think he's taken on more responsibility than England batting line. I think he's been exposed to a few down for not very many quite recently, a lot. Wagner in again, that's just swings away slightly, a full ball to Stokes, but again just leans into a punch. Slightly disappointed with himself, thought he could have made more of that, but again there is no run to mid-off.
Well, Stokes is always watching England's profligate batsmen at the other end, giving their wickets away.
Yeah. He's got a great burden to shoulder in this batting line.
I described him during the World Cup at times when he played a number of similar hands as the only grown-up in the room.
Yeah, quite. Wagner at the top of his run again, comes in, left arm over the wicket, and this is a full ball again on off stump. Just seems away nicely, but Stokes has just leaned into that and with a quick flick of the wrist punches it through mid-on for one of these. Always time for a bit of Star Sailor jingle. Yes, just lent to that, just closes his wrist over slightly to get the line. Denley has to jump up as it skips through him at ankle height, and you wouldn't want to get away with that for 4 runs. So Stokes going along nicely here. England looking quite settled, he said, touching lots of wood. And Wagner I can't pronounce his name anymore. It's that early in the morning. Wagner just puts that on off stump. Stokes slightly late on it. Brings the bat down, just chops it down into the offside again, sort of chuntering to himself, hoping he could have made more of it. For all the responsibility, he still remains a perfectionist and has set himself clearly very high standards over this summer across the shorter form of the game and indeed the test match at Headingley. Who could forget his deeds there against Australia? He moves on to 30 now, Wagner in again, and that's another stock ball seaming away and swinging slightly towards Stokes, who just punches it out to deep point, and that's a single. Stokes moves on to 31 of 72, bringing and he farms the strike for the next over. That's the end of Wagner for this over.
So I was just looking up those stats for New Zealand spinners in New Zealand. The last New Zealand spinner to take a test wicket in New Zealand was Todd Astle in the second innings in Auckland last year. So it's been a
Crikey.
year and a half now.
Crikey.
Well, almost 2 years, in fact, since New Zealand's been has taken a wicket in New Zealand.
Indeed, just shows how little Test cricket New Zealand get to play sometimes.
Well, that's true, and possibly in some of those tests they didn't play a spinner, but unlikely. Superbus Starred Up says, "You guys are watching the wrong game, boys," in response to the wicket that Nathan Lyon took not that long ago in Brisbane. We've had a patron as well.
Right.
Lee West has become a patron. Welcome.
Well done.
Thank
sir.
you, Lee.
Thank you.
And Anna Forsyth says, "In all fairness to Finney, as long as I live in a different continent, he's all right without a restraining order. Whenever I'm home, though, that's a different matter."
Santner continues that short outside off. Stokes rocks back, cuts it through the cover region, but Raval is trotting around from deep point on the boundary, or the sweeper on the boundary, and that is 2 runs to Ben Stokes to move on to 33 off 73 balls. Santner 2.1 overs now, 0 for 15, expensive in the context of the innings so far, and you're right, Knuckle, for someone who's meant to provide control, not doing his allotted role at the moment. He's in again now, left arm over the wicket, that drifts onto middle from a leg stump line, and Stokes can just tap that gently to mid-wicket and trot through for a single.
The problem is, Jason, if he bowls 2 full and 2 flat, he's that much easier to work around.
Yeah. It stops you getting the high value shots, but it makes it much easier to get just the ones into the holes.
So Denley on strike this time, I think potentially. No, he's faced Santner so far, but not perhaps seen as much of him as Stokes has. Santner again, left arm round this time, and that's into length ball on off, which Denley drives, but again straight at the man at short extra
How
cover.
quickly we forget, it was just an over ago. We were rhapsodising over Joan Denley, hitting him over extra cover for 4 and back over his head for 6.
Indeed. Santner in again, left arm round the wicket. Denley just unfurls the block, says no, and goes back to tapping the wicket.
Sonny Jar, is Anderson playing? No, Jimmy Anderson is still injured.
Still.
But we expect him to be back for the South Africa tests.
Santner again, left arm round the wicket. That's short and on off stump. Denley rocks back and punches it. But again, he's giving, I think that's Colin de Grandhomme, a little workout on a regular basis at short extra cover.
Krishan Monga says morning on Cricket Tracker. Good morning.
Santner's using
Indeed,
all
good
his
morning.
box of tricks of slight changes of length and pace.
Last ball of the over to Denley again, and that's short and off stump.
Very slow.
Denley, very slow. Denley just goes forward, waits, and defends it solidly into the offside. That is the end of the over, and England looking unruffled so far this session.
Messi Jez, Evil Scooters and Jeff Perkins all give us the news of Iftikhar Ahmed getting up to Nathan Lyon. Anna Forsyth says, someone, I bet you can't get away with chilling while you're supposed to be broadcasting a test match. Cameraman, hold my beer.
Indeed, it was a strong performance from the cameraman.
Yeah. I wonder if TV cameras possibly count as heavy machinery, i.e. things not to operate while drunk.
Yes.
Well, given how much they cost, I don't think the employers would be too impressed.
I'm sure he'd say he's a good solid Kiwi. There's no way he's drunk off half a pint.
No, particularly not the kind of beer they usually serve at international sport.
Absolutely. I wonder what the local brew is down there. Anyone at the ground, please do tell us a review of the beverages on offer.
When I was out there in the World Cup for 2015, I mean that was the World Cup, so it's a bit different. It was Tui, which is not good. But I had some very nice
Tui,
craft.
as in
Tui.
the
TUI, yeah.
The package holiday operator in the UK.
It's spelt the same, yeah. But I had some very nice craft brews in Wellington and Auckland.
Who's trying to remember the name of the Whitbread round the world yacht? Is it Steinlager?
Yeah, Steinlager is a New Zealand beer.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Interesting field that Wagner's got to Stokes.
So Wagner in again for the first ball of his over. That just arches away gently. Stokes not interested. Washes it through to Watling. No run.
Yeah, you got one slip and a gully. Point in much sort of cover really, and then who's come up a little bit to extra cover. Then you got a mid on, mid off, and a deep point. And 2 men back on the hook. So Neil Wagner, I think, is definitely about to bowl some short stuff.
I think so.
And the umpire standing at point, which confused us very slightly.
Yes. I think it's the sun. The sun's getting very low at this time in New Zealand. You can't really see much. Anyway, Wagner for some sweet armpit music. But no, it's full and swinging away gently again. Stokes leads into the drive, but just picks out mid-off. And that is, again, no run.
As the one slip in a gully isn't just a little bit odd.
Yes, it is.
An attempt to bowl dry before the new ball.
I mean, possibly, but then wouldn't you wouldn't you bring more men up into the circle then and try and just completely shut off the scoring avenues? Because as it is, if he wants to bowl short, unless he gets it absolutely right, there's singles on both sides.
Yeah, slightly strange. Wagner in again. That's short, and it's cuttable, and Stokes has just flipped the wrist through it and uppishly cut it for a 2-bounce one of these. And no need to move the feet there. Stokes just flashes the wrist through it, helps it on its way, uppercut over third man, and that is, a 3-bounce 4.
Yeah, smartly played, because there is the man at deep point, but he made sure that he got it up and over the slip corn where there was absolutely nobody.
Indeed.
Nicely placed.
Stokes moves smoothly onto 38 of 77 balls. And Wagner 1 for 70 now. Perhaps slightly expensive in the context, but still been unlucky, I think. He's in again now, and that is a short ball, and that's on the other side, which Stokes climbs into a pull/hook, and it's another one straight through the cover mid-wicket region for one of these. Yeah, really getting in the groove now, Ben Stokes, and he's looking very sure of these shots. That was a difficult one, because kind of it is just about to getting up to his eye level, playing it right off his face, but he's got that off the meat of the bat and clubbed it unceremoniously through mid-wicket.
When you're
it's the topspin forehand.
It was the Nadal.
When you're pulling Neil Wagner, possibly the world's best bouncer bowler, through mid-on for 4, you know it's a slow pitch.
Yes. Oh, what a ball fight. He could slower ball and full as well. It's just dipped on Stokes at the last minute, who just jams his bat down. In the end, doesn't have too much trouble dealing with it, but from our angle, certainly behind the bowler's arm, it was very well disguised. He gets down. It was missing the stumps, luckily, but he just chops down on it into the pitch. That's a knuckleball and a leg cutter.
I didn't know Neil Wagner had one of those.
That's a knuckleball leg cutter, people. Neil Wagner, gentlemen and ladies. But reverts back to a stock ball for the next ball, and Stokes once again punches it through to mid-off for no run. End of the over, 8 runs from it. A pair of 4s in the middle, punctuated, bookended by a pair of no runs. And just flashing up the graphic now, New Zealand Test venues. This is, of course, the inaugural Test match at the Bay Oval at Mount Maunganui. Great Test ground, it looks.
Yeah, it looks absolutely lovely. Perhaps the pitch could be a little bit quicker.
Pleasingly round.
Yes. Not oval at all.
Not oval, a circle, the Bay Circle.
The Jersey Jingler says, thanks for burning the midnight mid-morning oil to give us commentary. Desperately trying to stay awake after a few 8% IPAs.
I'm desperately trying to stay awake as well.
Untitled Chapter has followed us on Twitter. Welcome. Spicy Golden Duck says, good evening / good morning.
Good evening.
Thanks for the commentary. I hope the beer there is as good as the beer here. Monteith's Original Ale, very nice. And he is at the ground.
Excellent.
Monteith's Original Ale sounds quite good.
That does sound good.
It sounds like some sort of, after this ball,
Santa continue, stop ball, on off, Denley leans forward, no run.
some sort of medicinal tonic.
Oh, yes.
Monteith's.
I can imagine some sort of sepia tinge label on a bottle of that. Does sound good. Santa in again, and that's on leg stump. Denley just helps it. Santa's got his hands on his head, helps it to short leg where Latham is under the helmet with the shin pads on, looking to snaffle anything, and that's slightly uppish, and it's just gone below his fingers as he put them down to his left boot, and there's no run there. And that's on middle stump. Joe Denley leans into a drive. That's not going to beat deep mid off, and they trot through for a single.
Was this technically a chance for Tom Latham?
I think it was.
Yes, because yes.
So I think he hits the toe of his
If his hands had been lower, he could have caught it without advancing forward
Came up
anymore.
a bit too early at short leg.
Hendo's just come in. You've got get us for another couple of overs, you lucky people.
Looks like we'll be taking you through to the new ball.
Indeed. Santner in now to Stokes on strike. That's just straight, no spin on off stump. Stokes punches it down with a bit of top spin to the man at mid on, and they come through for another single. So dot single so far this over. Santner a bit more control, but he's already been milked for 3 overs already, so still got to improve slightly. Santner again, Denley on strike now, man on 65, the anchor of England's innings so far, and that arches in pleasingly to off stumps, but Denley squirts it out through the point region, and they come through for another single, rotating the strike nicely, this pair now, really making the bowlers change it up and think what to do next. That was a chance, they're replaying that.
A very tough chance, but a chance. I think it's also the value of Denley having hit that 6 and a 4 is that Santner's just bowling that little bit quicker, that little bit shorter, that little bit flatter, and thus creating single scoring opportunities.
Indeed.
Or allowing, rather.
Santner the bowler, Stokes the batsman. Comes in, left arm over the wicket. Stokes pulls out the reverse sweep, the reverse slappy sweep, but Raval there is sweeping on the offside boundary. It's right in over the stumps, great throw. Latham does the rest, but the batsman was well in this ground, and I don't even think they'll bother to go upstairs for that one, unless the TV umpire is feeling particularly underutilised.
I think Stokes is trying to get to his 50 before the new ball turns up.
Yep,
the way he's batting in the last couple of overs against Santner.
Yep, he's on 45 now off just 82 balls. Denley at the other end, 66 off 164 balls. Dominic Sibley earlier, 22 off 63. The new man at the top England's order. Burns looking good again for 52 off 138 before just snicking one through to the keeper. And Joe Root looking out of sorts. A nasty little shot, just steering it straight to second slip. Not what he would have wanted to do. 2 off 22 balls caught by Tim Southey, bowled Neil Wagner. So England now 192 for 3 off 78 overs, a lot better than it was looking at 120 for 3 a while ago. And this pair must be coming up for there's a partnership of 72 so far, so a way off from a century yet.
Stokes has been by a mile the most fluent of any of England batters.
Absolutely. Looking in the groove here, looking unflustered, untroubled. Looks calm, collected at the crease, not angry at all. Anyway, Neil Wagner for some more short stuff. Joe Denley on strike, and that's on off stump. Joe Denley just leans forward, punches it, and there's no run.
I think Neil Wagner has actually worked out that even he can't bowl into the deck on this pitch and get it to come through at any place.
I think being slapped through mid-on must have been quite dispiriting for him.
And so he's going to have to rely on bowling a tight line and length and just wait for the pitch to quicken up, hopefully.
And that magic slower ball we saw, which shades of Harmison to Clark.
Indeed. So 11 balls to the new ball. Wagner with 5 left with his rock. And that's on off stump. Joe Denley just taps it down into the offside, and they take a little quick single to the man at cover. That brings Stokes on strike, who has 10 balls before the new ball to get his half century, if that is indeed, as Knackle suggests, what he is trying to do. He's got 4 from Wagner, and presumably 6 from Santner at the other end. Then maybe, will they take the new ball immediately, do you think?
I would think so, certainly now that Santner's been hit around a little bit, and just all the life seems to have gone out of the ball.
Also, Southey and Bolt now back on the field, conspicuously. No Henry and no Blundell. They've presumably had their isotonic sports drinks and their massages.
These things are a lot easier to spot in the ground when some subfielders are coming off and on. Anna Forsyth says, in comparison to the seemingly never-ending era of cricket known as the Denley 40s, Stokes is racing along at breakneck speed.
Indeed. Here he is now, Wagner to Stokes. Left arm round the wicket, and Stokes has pulled him viciously again through mid-wicket, but there's a man down there. I think that was de Grandhomme sweeping on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Watling makes an absolute meal of it, loses his sunglasses and the ball. Smiles all round. De Grandhomme looks a bit sheepish. But that was just a single run for Stokes.
It wasn't a great throw, to be fair.
It was a terrible bloody throw.
It was miles away from the stumps. It was at Yorker length when it arrived.
Indeed, I can only think he was trying to throw it in on the hop, and Watling didn't quite get the message. But you're not really trying to rough the ball up because there's only 9 balls left on it before the new rock. Anyway, Wagner in now, halfway through his over. Denley just leans forward again, checks a drive, and it dribbles down to the man at mid-off.
Well, just before that ball he bowled to Stokes, so Wagner went round the wicket very wide in the crease, had no slip, a gully, sort of orthodox whitish mid-wicket, and a man, the Grandhomme was set halfway back to the mid-wicket boundary.
Yeah, it's interesting field placing. It'll be interesting to see what they do when they do take the new ball. See how they play it. They're certainly going to be better than they were with the new ball first thing this morning. Wagner in again now. And that has hit Denley on the pad, but I think pitching just outside leg stump, or maybe an issue with height. We'll certainly see on the replay in a minute.
I don't think height was an issue.
No.
I thought it might have been an inside edge.
Latham's had a shy at the stumps, it's missed, and that's enabled them to go through. The DRS timer is ticking. Kane Williamson, I don't think we'll have any of this. The umpire certainly didn't seem interested, and no one really went up in great volume. Even Wagner looked a bit half-hearted.
I wonder if he'd just pitched outside leg as well.
Yeah. Seeing the replay now. Oh no, maybe just. Oh no, and the huge inside edge would have saved him anyway. Yeah, I think they knew that. They've set off and gone back. Latham, terrible throw again from about 5 yards away. Throws it over the stumps, they get a single. Wagner looks like a man who's just been robbed of a run, as indeed he was. He's in again now for the last ball of his over, and that's outside off. Stokes just drops his hands on it to chop it down to the man in the gully, and there is no run there. One over till the new ball.
Yeah, it just looked like an inside edge, and the host broadcaster's caption operator beat the replay to it, because they flashed up one of that delivery.
Indeed. Absolutely run off the bat, and thanks to the misfield from Tom Latham there, who's had a tricky few overs. Didn't throw the ball when Denley was out of his ground. One of those backhanded flicks at short leg. A chance, a very difficult one, but it was there to be caught near his boot off a tuck from Denley, and now giving away a run. So not a great 20 odd minutes for Latham.
Wakas saying wants his score update. England are 195 for 3 Wakas, and looking a hell of a lot more comfortable than they did at tea.
Indeed. Santner in last over before the ball change, presumably. Stop ball on middle stump, no real spin. Denley just leans on it and taps it back to Santner.
On YouTube, Roy Mainwell rather controversially says, "There's no beer made anymore, both in New Zealand and Australia. It's all lager that looks a bit like beer. Please, craft beer defenders of New Zealand, come and rescue your country's reputation."
Indeed, Santner again just pushes it down leg. Denley just sees it through, then wraps it off the gloves. No run there.
Sort of five-a-side goalkeepers stop.
Absolutely.
Get in the way.
One I know very well. Santner in again now, left arm over the wicket. Just on middle stump. Denley just leans into it, and they're going to have to hurry a bit. They ambled down the wicket there, and the man was looking very sprightly and threw it in, but I think Denley was going to be okay there either way. In any event, Santner couldn't gather, and the stumps remain undisturbed. So that brings Ben Stokes back on strike. 46 now, 1 hit away from a well-deserved and very trouble-free half-century.
Warburg Palm, Durban Oak says, morning. You're just in time to hear Hendo take the new ball.
Fantastic. 3 balls left in this Santner over, whereupon they should presumably take the new ball, but you never know.
He's Andy Warding you. New ball stealing.
Coming in for the glory.
Some field tweaks here, but Santner's at the top of his mark now. Left arm over the wicket, comes into Stokes, who just tucks it nicely round his pad, strayed slightly onto the leg side there, and they should come back for 2 as Bolt scampers back. Hatfuls off as he slides. That is indeed 2 runs to Ben Stokes, who moves on to 48 off 85 balls. Just 2 balls now remaining before the new ball is due.
We just had a look at that shot of Santner at the top of his run from sort of reverse stump cam. I just basically haven't seen Kumar Dharmasena at any point. He's just had nothing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just a stop ball, slightly fuller on off stump. Stokes just chokes down on it, bangs it into the pitch, and there's no run.
I genuinely forgot who the other umpire was.
Oxenshield.
No, Oxenford we've seen on screen a lot. It's Dharmasena, of course.
Santner in for the last ball of the over. That's on the stump, slightly fuller. Stokes just jams the bat down on it, and it hits the man at short mid-wicket. And here on comes a white-hatted, white-shirted umpire-like figure bearing a new cherry in his hand, and to talk you through that new cherry, there will be a triple change.
New ball, please. 50 runs. Your 50 runs.
It's like
The best things in life are free. Just like Gorilla Commentary, we need money. That's what I want.
/Gorilla Cricket.
We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Gorilla Commentary. I want money.
$20 for the archive.
That's what I want.
Or just buy a t-shirt.
Oh, for goodness sake, just go and buy a t-shirt. Get to our website, gorillacricket.com. Get your money out of your pocket, out of your
Christmas
wallet.
time.
It's Christmas time. Buy people t-shirts. We've got many and varied colours and
You can
sizes.
still get, actually, if you email us directly, you can get hold of the
World Cup one.
special edition World Cup one. We've got a box still sitting next door because we got threatened with some shit, so we stopped
We don't like
advertising
being
it.
threatened with shit. Here comes Trent Bolt with the new ball. Bowls to Denley, who comes forward and it swings in to take the inside half of the bat. Just for a moment, thought it might get through that gap. There is a discernible gap quite often with Joe Denley, but he survives it as the ball runs towards square leg. 198 for 3. This really has been a superb knock from Ben Stokes. He's looked a class above anyone else today, really, even though Denley's on 69. Times it's been a bit of a struggle for him, but Stokes has played with intelligence, fluency, and well, he just looks the real deal, doesn't he? He's gone up a gear since last year.
And this is it. We're actually in a pretty good position. 3 wickets down. Hopefully it'll be 200 with 3 wickets down.
Denley pushes at this one. It's full outside the off stump, swinging back into him, but meets it quite nicely. Pushes up to mid-off, where Kane Williamson, the captain. There's an enormous number of seagulls flying across the ground at the moment. It's like some sort of Hitchcock invasion.
It'll be all the fish and chops.
Indeed, they'll be after the fish and chops. As Bolt, none for 35, got a short mid-wicket in, and again he's right on the money there. Good length, probing away at middle stump, defended by Denley. Straight back to the bowler, and there isn't a run. 198 for 3. Well, I remember saying when England was struggling a little bit on 120 for 3 that what we needed from this final session was 80 runs or so, get us up to 200 for 3 by the end of the day. Well,
we made it.
They may make more than that. May get to 220, 230. Who knows?
Well, 228.
They now need to keep it as for
it
3.
is indeed outside the off stump, left alone this time by Joe Denley. 4 dot balls with the new hard Kookaburra in his hand. Denley 69 from 175 balls. Well, his last 2 test innings for England haven't been that bad, have they? 94 against the Aussies at the Oval.
Well, no, that's it. I mean,
he's just growing into the role a little bit.
You can't really drop him, can you? He
all.
may be 33 and he may not be the greatest batsman, but
well, he nearly drags that one on. In fact, it ends up in front of square, but it was a rather horribly mistimed drive outside the off stump that went towards mid-wicket. As we look at the old Kookaburra ball, which, well, it's seen better days, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's, yes, you can see this.
There's no shine on it, is there?
No shine on it. The seam really isn't that pronounced, is it?
No, well, it's just
balls.
Stitched actually into the face, isn't it? There's no raised seam apart from a slight bit on the actual.
Round the wicket this time, but driven well by Denley. Certainly going to get one, and I'm not sure he's going to get back for a second because Williamson has got around to that and chased after it well and gets the ball in the air quickly.
Definitely no sign of a creaky hip, was there, when he chased that?
No, indeed. Denley moves to 70 and will keep the strike.
Oh, there we go, back to Premier League football this weekend.
Tom M says, I've never been to New Zealand, but I'm educated enough to know about the delicious craft brewer garage project. Most of their stuff is well worth a try.
Do you think they'd like to sponsor us?
We'll go
It's a
find
bit
out.
late now, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
for this series. But anyway,
got sent a beer over on a plane.
Anna Forsyth says, including their subfielders, do New Zealand have 3 keepers in their team? More, even if Bairstow was in the England team, wouldn't we still only be at 1?
No.
Pope
Pope
keeps.
Pope can keep, but he doesn't do it very often because, of course, at Surrey, Folkes is the man in possession.
Presumably, do we have a reserve keeper on this tour, or is Pope it?
I'm guessing Pope would be it. Banton also keeps wicket, who was playing in the T20 series.
But he wouldn't be there for the test.
Bairstow, of course, has gone home as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Southey, we could jingle him up in a minute. Oh, he's found the edge. What a good ball that was. And despite Denley's attempts to get that back leg round as a second line of defence, it took the edge and dropped short. I think this is the problem, isn't it? There's not a lot of bounce in this pitch. So even if you do get a ball to do something, and he's playing that really towards mid-on a little bit, invariably it's not necessarily going to carry. Tim Southey is into his 17th over of the day, just conceded 30 runs. But this new ball pairing that we talk so much about, 251 and 254 wickets, yet to have any joy today. This is swinging away outside the off stump, back of a leg, left alone by Denley.
Yes, that was Anna Forsyth's. A Spicy Golden Duck says a fair bit of craft beers here in New Zealand are just high alcohol fizzy hop juice.
Oh no!
But there's some very nice ones. Well, what would be good to know, if we were going to go and talk to any, was which are the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't want any old rubbish. Well, the bear doesn't mind. In comes Southey, bowls full ball, driven, spanked,
nice.
Beautiful shot from Denley. And this time he doesn't find a fielder, and it speeds away across the turf for 4 runs, 200 up for England.
Oh, come on.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We've got a bit of a sticky jingle machine at the moment, which means that you try to play it once, you try to play it again, and you end up with 2 of them. But that was a glorious stroke from Denley. Does play a very nice, sweetly timed cover drive. He's on to 74. Southey in again. 3 slips go down. He's wide on the crease. Got the edge, and he's taken. Brilliant catch by Watling in front of first slip. One-handed, and Southey has the wicket. Denley, I was just about to say, can he go one better than he did at the Oval and go all the way through to 100? Well, the answer is no, because he's edged that through. The new ball has worked. Southey has shown a little bit more fire with the new cherry than he did this morning, I think, and he's got his reward.
Bowled a fuller length, hasn't he? He's gone.
I won't look back, 'cause by the time that I do, you'll be gone.
Well, they got England to the 200 mark, but finally a wicket has fallen. It's a difficult time now for Ollie Pope to come in, isn't it?
How long is left today? How many?
9 overs. 8 overs, sorry, 8 overs.
Jack Leach time? Is it a bit too early for Jack Leach time, do we think?
Good question, actually.
Or we're on the cusp of considering a night watchman.
Yes, we are. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, the talk was when Ollie Pope came into the team, was it last year or 2018? Yeah, 2018. That, he's being asked to bat at 4 when all he'd ever done for Surrey was bat at 6. In a way, though, I mean, of course, you can face a new ball at any time, but is it wise to bring him in now against the new ball? It's something to think about, isn't it?
You wouldn't risk Butler, would you? No. Oh, it's him. Well, there's your answer. It is Ollie Pope.
We've got a jingle for him.
I'm sure we have.
Yeah, I saw it earlier. But now's your chance to play it, Per.
Fucking hell. There it is.
Exactly the moment.
Oh, you bloody machine.
Well,
there's obviously a ghost in the machine.
We'll have to wait for the Ollie Pope jingle. He's going to have to face at least 1 ball of this over. There's 2 to go. And now maybe he's got a bit of fire in his belly, a bit of sweat on his brow. In comes Southey, and it's nicely driven to the left of mid-off. Didn't find its way through, but the movement of the fielder meant that they could get through for a single. So Pope is up and running in his overseas test career. So, just a feeling that New Zealand knew they needed something. It's not been a great session for them, this one. And basically, Watling took that out of the hands of Ross Taylor, who was moving towards his left. He just stuck out the paw, put in the dive, and took a very good catch. 3 slips in the gully now for Stokes, as Southey's in again across the left-hander. He leaves it alone, a foot and a half outside the off stump, and that is the end of the over. Stokes has 48, Pope has a single. England are 204
Right.
for 4.
Let's have some jinglage.
Ollie
what
Pope?
I was trying to do
Yeah.
was get what we listened to, a new jingle for Tim Southey that Mog says we haven't played, that I found is this one.
He is pretty, that's Tim Southey. He's so pretty and witty and bright. But Tim Southey's not as pretty as Kane Williamson.
That's a very strange end to that jingle.
No, we're trying to fit it in.
I've never really thought of Kane Williamson as pretty exactly, but there you go.
The new batsman is this man. I like that, Mog.
That's good. That is good. I think Ollie Pope would like that, to be honest. Anyway, first ball of Bolt's over is left alone outside the off stump.
We didn't jingle him up, did he, for the start of his spell? So we'll do that too.
How does he speak, or play the horn, or clean his teeth, or even yawn? How does he shout? How does he call? Trent Bolt's mouth is really small.
Onto the back foot he goes to a ball just on the line of off stump and tucks it into the offside, and there is no run. Now I've been looking forward to seeing Ollie Pope.
No, same here.
I really have. I think he showed signs in those couple of games that he played that there was something a little bit special about him. I've seen him a bit for Surrey as well. He came back after injury and had a really good end to the
what was his
domestic
injury?
season.
Shoulder. Did his shoulder, didn't he?
Full ball, and he flicks that away with the swing, and that will bring him his first boundary on foreign soil in a test match. 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And of course, Ollie Pope being out there means that we haven't suffered on the ginger quotient. We've lost Johnny Bairstow, but Pope himself is quite gingery.
Is he a ginger?
He's a little bit gingery.
Well, there you go. So
Who is Strawberry Blonde, you know?
he's a definite like-for-like replacement then.
Absolutely, and he
under
can
the
keep wicket.
concussion rules.
Very good point. He's waiting now for Bolt again, who's in. Oh, now he's trying to leave that one, and we've seen this happen so often with English batsmen, and to an extent Australian batsmen in the Ashes. He was trying to leave it, but didn't get his bat out of the way quickly enough, but fortunately it went from the face of the bat down into the ground and then towards gully, and there is no run.
A while ago we posited a question, didn't we? It was along to about 7 hours ago.
Oh, just the 7 hours ago.
About apart from going to Whitgift School at different times, what else links England's openers?
Turned towards mid-wicket this one. He was looking to get that bit square for the single, but didn't quite manage it.
So then we said join us at 9:50 GMT to find out. Well, we must have given the answer, but I don't remember if we did.
We did give the answer.
Well, because Chris Vickery has just replied saying Scientologists, question mark.
No.
No.
But
I didn't think was the answer, but
not as far as we know. I mean, it's always possible.
was it the Epsom connection?
It's Epsom.
Oh, it was the
they
Epsom
were both
connection.
born in Epsom.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Both born in the same hospital?
We believe so. In comes Bolt, bowls, and that swings into him. But it's very well played by Pope with bat and pad close together. There's a difference between him and Denley. Bat and pad were beautifully aligned there, and ball runs straight up the pitch, and there is no run. End of the over. 208 for 4 England.
Anna Forsyth said, I had a suspicion about Pope keeping, hence the question, but I just had to take the opportunity to be mean about Bairstow because I'm like that. Oh, oh dear. Okay. Oops.
Well, at least you own up to it, I suppose. That's the
Looks
main
like a
thing.
lovely place to watch cricket, though, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? I really want to be there. I don't want to be here. I want to be there.
One day, Hendo.
One day. Yeah, it's just such a long way.
I
to
still
New
keep doing a
Zealand.
lottery. I didn't win it the other day.
No, it's no good if you don't win it.
It was 95 million.
Got to be in it to win it, though.
We have 95 million. That would solve our financial
It
problems.
certainly would.
You could pay all of us. Onto the back foot goes Stokes, lets this one pass outside the off stump as Southey begins his 18th over. Figures are now of 1 for 35.
We could pointlessly waste it massively outbidding TalkSport and the BBC on rights too.
Actually, I'm not sure 95 million would cut it, would it?
Oh yeah, definitely. For
think so?
radio rights.
Oh, for radio rights, yeah, I suppose
yeah.
that's, yeah, fair point, yeah.
Durban Oaks says we're doomed.
We're doomed!
Hey.
Hey, is that the first time Durban Oaks turned up today? Welcome along. if it is.
I think so.
Southey in to Stokes. It goes across his stumps, and then Southey fires it far too wide, so he doesn't bother with it at all.
Well, now it'll be about 8 in the morning, won't it?
In South Africa?
Yeah, about that.
No, they're only a couple of hours ahead, aren't they? So it's about, what, 7:15, something like that?
Normally 3 hours, maybe.
I think it's 3 in winter because they don't have. I don't think they have daylight
South
saving.
Africa? No, it's not 3.
Yeah, well, no, it is.
Durban Oak. Tell us what the time is.
In the winter it's 3, in the summer it's 2 because we go forward and back.
I think it's 2
There
hours.
you go. It's 3 at the moment.
Has ruled.
Oh,
Now
okay.
that's beautifully worked. It swung in, and he needed to get back on that because if that had hit him on the pad, he could have been in trouble. Is he going to run back for a second? He is, and that is 50 for Ben Stokes. He's continuing where he left off in the summer. 50 from 91 balls. The England fans are enjoying it. They're putting their hands together.
Well, that's 3 50s in the top 5.
50 runs, your 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs, your 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
And after bowling the in-swinger, he tries to get this one to go away from the left-hander. Fires it a little bit too wide, and Stokes leaves it alone. 50 from 92 balls now, 210 for 4, and of course very soon the GPL will come into play. The lowest estimate we have is 228 from Des, so we'll keep an eye on that. Here comes Southey again, and it's down the leg side. Watling tumbles as he does a side roll or two.
What do we know about Des?
What do we know about Des? That's a very good question.
He's got a fair chance of being 200 no, not 200.
Well, he's got all the
80 odd quid richer.
Ah, he's Mr. Mark Selleck.
Oh, right, yes, he's the solicitor. He's the man with the solicitors in Liverpool, if I'm not
Well, he seems
mistaken.
to be the smartest of everybody because he's got all the lowest numbers: 228, 236, 237, 245.
Southey in. Oh, he's flashed at that, Stokes, but he's got it up and over square cover. Raval. Jeetan Raval is back there. He's
I haven't
been kept
seen
busy.
Jeetan Ravel bat, I don't think. The last time I watched New Zealand, he wasn't playing against us, was he?
No, and he's
but he's got quite a decent opening partnership, hasn't he? Going
well,
along?
he's got a few runs. He's got 100. He's finally got 100. I think it was 100 in his 13th test. He was born in Gujarat, and he went, I think, came to New Zealand, or went to New Zealand when he was 16. Then came through sort of the age group teams, and finally got his chance. And in fact, I think, if I remember rightly, he ended up playing in a youth test series against his home country with the likes of Rahane and Kohli, I think, was involved.
And presumably he might have known them.
Yeah, no, well, I think he
playing,
played with one or two of these guys when he was younger. Yeah.
I think we should give a quick collective wave to Bobby, who is watching in the Punjab in India.
Hello, Bobby.
Hello, Bobby.
Bolt, 3 slips and a gully for Stokes, and he's in. Oh, and now has he got an edge to that? No, he just jabbed down on it. It was very full, swung away, and went through to Watling. Just thought for a moment he might have got a little bit of wood on that, but fortunately for him and for England fans, he hadn't. This has been a very good knock from Stokes, hasn't it? It really has.
Yeah.
Looks in commanding form. He's just the one England batsman who seems to be able to defend when necessary and attack when it's a good time to do so.
Yeah.
In he comes again, bowls, he drives, and he drives beautifully through mid-off. 2 men in pursuit. A man from mid-off, the man from mid-on, but neither is going to get anywhere near that. It's 4 more runs for Ben Stokes. He held the pose there, the checked drive, and I think he's pretty certain that was going to go to the boundary, but it did set off and run just in case. 55 from 96.
Just shows the difference, because before the new ball was taken, and Bear and I were chatting about when he did one of those before and it didn't go anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that one off it
Well,
skipped.
I did say it might be easier to score runs off.
Yeah,
the
you
ball.
did.
Bolton again onto the leg stump, and he clips this away again beautifully. He's really timed the pants off that. Again, a man from square leg after it. The man running round Wagner from long leg as well, but they can't cut it off. That was just pure timing. It's 4 more runs. And Des will be getting very excited if he's getting up now somewhere in Liverpool, or
Liverpool
didn't go to bed even, because you are in with a good chance of claiming the GPL prize. Back of a length. Oh, and that was reminiscent of the shot that Stokes played to win that game at Headingley. He just rocked onto the back foot, threw the hands at it, away it went between extra cover and mid-off, and it's a 3rd successive 4 for Stokes.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
Oh, lovely shot.
Crashed it away,
lovely
didn't he?
shot. Wasn't a great ball, but it was a good shot. And he's raced now onto 63.
You really want someone to try and keep going and get past a ton and post a big one, don't you?
Yeah. Well, you know.
Plenty of starts, plenty of decent scores, but nothing. That's
Bolton again. Oh, he's edged that one. He's dropped. He's been parried by Ross Taylor, having to move sharply to his left, but he could only flick it over the top of the bar. And it's a 4th successive 4 for Ben Stokes.
And you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary.
Maybe just getting a little bit excited.
He didn't see that.
He didn't see that at all, did he?
No.
He really didn't. He went very late. Had he seen it a little bit more quickly, he might have taken the catch, but he's now inspecting a rather sore index finger on his left hand.
I think he's a lucky boy there, Ben Stokes.
Yeah, I think he was just getting a little bit carried away there. His bolt again onto the back foot. This is more sensible. He thinks about a single, but in comes the man at mid-wicket to field, and that is the end of the over. 16 runs from it, and England have moved to 227 for 4. We've got 5 overs remaining, we think.
Let me catch us up on a few tweets. Ravi Nair says, "Fuck, I've been studiously ignoring the telly, then wandered into the living room and glanced at it. Just one delivery, Denley's wicket. I may have to bar myself from ever watching England again live." Anna Forsyth responded to that saying, "When I stopped watching Denley got his 50, you're clearly a dark force."
Yes,
Ravi Nair said, "I blame myself. I should only watch cricket on the internet. Radio." Anna Forsyth says, "That Pope jingle is mint." Yes, it is. We like that. Durban Oak says, "It's 7 a.m. The bear talks bollocks."
Okay.
We are Southey in to Pope, leaves a ball that's just shaping away from him.
Well, no, because all I know is whenever we used to speak to the in-laws in Kenya,
it's 3 hours, isn't it?
It's 3 hours in winter, 2 hours in summer.
Do you know what? Given the choice between Greenwich Mean Time and when and how you talk to your in-laws as a way of measuring time, I'll probably stick with
a really
Greenwich
good
Mean
way
Time.
of doing it.
Southey into Pope onto his leg stump, and he flicks that away. A lovely shot with magnificent timing. He looks like to the manner born to Test cricket.
He does, doesn't he?
Bolly Pope. That's 4 runs. He looks class, doesn't he? He
Did
really
straight onto
does.
leg. It wasn't the best ball. That's
No,
been
it wasn't a
bowled
great
today.
ball,
But you've still got to play it.
You know,
he rolls his wrist really nicely, doesn't he? Gets right on top of it.
There's a sort of body language is so confident as well, isn't it, from him? I'd hope I'm not going to put the mockers on him. He's got 9 from 9 balls. And Southey is coming in again, goes wide on the crease, and he leaves it. Good judgment. Didn't get that to come back into him as he might have wanted.
What was this? He came in and played 2 tests. It was against South Africa, wasn't it, a couple of years ago?
India, wasn't it?
Was it India? Or was it?
I think it was India, wasn't it? It's
I'll
2018. Would have been India.
Okay, maybe it was.
Or was it Pakistan earlier in the season? I think it was India.
No, because it was quite. I remember it being quite a tricky series for him, and England were in a bit of trouble at times. And whilst he didn't get a lot of runs, he looked really good and kind of got us out a couple of holes, didn't he?
Now that one comes back into him, defends it on the back foot up to mid-on. There is no run. It was India. 231 for 4 is the score. Stokes 67 off 100, and Pope 9 off 11.
We've just watched the replay of that drop catch, and I have to say, when looking from the camera behind the slip cordon, Ross Taylor appeared to react rather slowly.
That's what we said.
In
Yeah,
my book. Yeah,
yeah, he did. We don't think he
looking
saw
at
it
again.
There he goes. He suddenly sees it.
Oh, there he goes. Oh, hello.
That's right. Yeah.
Didn't see it at all.
But when you look, there's a car park and a sort of green hill right in his eye line, so it can't be easy.
And he's wearing
He's got sunnies on as well.
Yeah.
Now that's another good thing about Pope. He gets right forward to that next delivery, big stride, head over the ball, pushes to mid off, and there is no run. 2:31 for 4. Now let's have a look. We've gone past the first figure that Des had. What else have we got on the GPL?
Right, we have. Oh no, I've got the right thing open. 228.236 is the next one, followed by 237 and then 245.
Southey in pushes this one wide.
4 overs left.
And through the keeper this one goes, left alone by Pope. That's the end of the over, just a boundary from it. 2:31 for 4.
Durban Oak finished that thought about the Bear Talks bollocks with: we are 2 hours ahead in your winter, 1 hour ahead in summer.
Yeah,
no daylight saving here. You will spring forward and fall back, so you're closer in time in the summer.
Well, I was pretty sure.
So you're an hour. So the time difference between them and Kenya must be an hour then. I didn't realise that. I thought they were all on the same time zone.
And our new friend Bobby from the Punjab wants to know what type of struggle or problem will Indian players face when they will play first day-night test with pink ball.
Oh, have they not played one?
No.
Against Bangladesh.
Bangladesh they're playing. Well, one would expect the ball to do a bit if they have to bat just as the lights come into operation.
Twilight is the time when all kinds of weird stuff happens.
Bolt into Stokes. Stokes trying to work that on the onside. He got a bit of a leading edge. Straight back all the way along the ground to Bolt.
Isn't that going to be really dewy anywhere in the subcontinent? Isn't that going to cause trouble?
So hang on, if they're playing a day-night match, then presumably they won't get underway until about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because normally they start about 4:30 in the morning.
So we can watch this, then we can go home and take in a couple of hours of Australia, Pakistan, and then we can watch the whole day of India v Bangladesh. Onto the back foot, doesn't time this one. Stokes as he tries to chop it away into the offside.
Or we'll try and get some sleep.
Oh, but there is that, I suppose.
That's what I'm going to do.
Well, I sometimes find it's nice to have a sort of cricket going on in the background while you're sort of snoozing.
I can't do it in the bedroom.
No, you've not got TV.
I've got a TV, but it's not hooked up to the Sky in the bedroom.
So, Bolt into his 21st over of the day. Still looking for his first wicket that would take him to 255 test wickets. Tim Southey has moved up one on him onto 252 test wickets. And they've pretty much played the same number of tests. I think Southey may have played about 4 more than Bolt. Here he is, Bolt again. And good leave from Stokes to a ball about 8 inches outside the off stump. Good length.
Edgar Allan Poe says, different class from anyone on show today. Denley was dogged, but Stokes' timing and technical ability is a joy to watch. Yeah, it has been.
Absolutely.
And we've been enjoying it. He's had his moment of luck.
Just the one moment of luck, really, I think. I mean,
Bolt's played 64 matches and Southey 68.
That's right, 4. I was right. Southey in short. He tries to pull. Did he get a little bit of an edge on that? Watling has parried that away down to long leg. In comes, I think, Tom Latham to field. No, it's given as a bye by umpire Bruce Oxenford. And England move on to 232 for 4. And you've got to be pretty happy. If England don't lose another wicket tonight, they've got to be pretty happy with what they've done in the end today. But you have to say that it's Stokes that's got them going in this final session.
Yeah. Well, they come out in a pretty reasonably strong position tomorrow. They've got Butler to bat.
Yeah,
and
Butler.
Sam Curran.
Yeah. Well, they need to push on. These two want to stay there tonight. These
still
two
still yet to see anything from Archer, although we're told he can bat.
Short ball to Pope, who gets right down underneath it. And through it goes to Watling.
Anna Forsyth says, now we have test numbers on shirts. Should we be applying Nelson rules when a batsman is on his shirt number?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Wants to avoid a jinx.
Good one.
That is quite an interesting thought.
That is a good one.
What do you mean, numbers on the back of the shirts or the actual squad number?
No, I think she means numbers on the back of the shirts.
I was going to say, because you're not going to get to 600, are you?
No, not really. Lovely drive, beautifully, wristily played by Pope, slightly backward of square, and that runs away to the boundary for 4 more.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
236 for 4.
They're quickly going up through the numbers here. I mean, it was looking unlikely they were going to get to the bottom of the run not that long ago, and now we've raced through 228. We're on 236 already. There's 3 overs and 2 balls left, or 4 balls left. 237, 248, 245 is possible, I suppose. 257 seems a long way off.
I'm going to eulogise about Ollie Pope.
You in love,
he's a special talent. I really do. From just what I've seen today, I've seen him bat with Ben Folkes quite a lot at the Oval, and I kind of thought that Folkes was the slightly better batsman, but today Pope looks magisterial.
He does look rather good.
I know he's only got 13 from 15.
I remember us thinking that when he batted for England, and you know, when he came in, he looked quite organised.
Onto the back foot goes Stokes as Southey starts the. Is it the penultimate over of the day?
Penultimate, isn't it?
No, it's the third from last. So the penultimate would be the second from last. Would that not be right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, the penultimate is the one before last, isn't
You can't expect the bear to calculate that at this time of the morning after, I don't know, 18 cans of IPA.
I haven't had 18 cans of IPA at all.
It's a standard breakfast, isn't it?
Probably, yes.
They had quite a night, actually. I had about 5 cans over the entire period.
Oh, now, did that nibble a little bit? It seems to have beaten Stokes, and he's, that's quite a good ball. Well bowled, young Tim. And it's taken by Watley. Stokes on 67. 106 balls, England. A new opening partnership this morning of Dominic Sibley and Rory Burns. They put on over 50, which is, I think, only the 3rd time that the opening pair has done that this year for England. Is Southey again. Past the umpire, bowls to Stokes. Stokes seemed to be lining that up and thinking, shall I thrash this through the covers? But I think he took a little bit of pace off that one, Southey, just 126 Ks, and so just wasn't in the best position and just let it go through, showing a certain amount of discretion at this stage of the day. What sort of accommodation there is in
Trailer Park?
Maunganui.
Don't forget you've got Taranga as well.
Yeah, that's what, 15 minutes away, something like that. Now he does decide to drive this one as it's thrown up a little bit by Southey. Williamson is very deep at mid-off, but he struck it quite hard, Stokes, and in the end Williamson was almost diving forward to field that, strangely enough. And there is no run.
Durban Oak says Pakistan are 133 for 5. I think Atif Nawaz will be contemplating Pakistan being doomed to.
Doomed. Well, they had a good start and then it all fell apart, didn't it? So often we say that about England. Stokes, Gingerbeard, settles down over his bat, waits for Southey, fires it across the left-hander, wide, left alone, through to the keeper.
Chris Vickery says, greetings from Chiang Mai. Respect to the overnight gorillas. Great commentary despite the run rate. How was this surface prepared? With wallpaper paste?
Hey.
Well, I don't know, but it's green. It's a little bit tinge of green and it's springy.
Yes, it's been hard to time the ball. Well, it has been for mere mortals, but Stokes has looked supreme. In comes Southey again. This time Stokes is right forward on the front foot and just pushing that gently into the offside. That's a maiden from Southey. It's the end of the over. 2 remain. 236 for 4. More tweets.
Yes, Faraka Hussain on Quick Tracker says show the match. We can't. We're a radio service. You
but
get
you
to
do
see us. You do get to see
a beautiful scenic picture of Maunganui.
3 handsome gentlemen.
Indeed. But they're in the other room.
One more, they couldn't make it, but you do have us 3.
Yeah,
yes, indeed. Durban Oak is replying saying, thought it was a beach whale. I don't think that's that was before we mentioned us being handsome gentlemen.
Ah, right.
It's a conversation I don't know, but the Hofbear was in it. There's no guarantee he'll know, of course.
Oh, I love this time of day. The shadows are lengthening. This is the day. This is the time that all cricket should be played. Here comes Bolt into his 22nd over, bowling to Pope. Pope gets bat right in front of Padders. This one threatens his middle stump, but defends it solidly into the onside, and there is no run. Just perhaps a sense that there's a bit too much sweat on the ball. It's being given a good rub with the towel by Jeetan Raval. And it's now back in the hands of Trent Bolt, who turns And runs in. He's got through a lot of work today. Bowls a short one. It's pulled powerfully and confidently by Pope, but straight to long leg. So it's just a single. He moves to 14. England to 237 for 4.
Des needs 10 dot balls.
He needs 10 dot balls or what?
Or he won't.
Or 8 runs.
Or 8 runs.
Oh,
there you go. So,
oh, okay.
So hang on, that's what, 8 dot balls or 8 runs before the end of the day, and Des will take home what, 80 quid or so. Here is Bolt again to Stokes, and he's in, and Stokes leaves that one. Late decision to leave that one, I think, outside the off stump, and through to Watling it goes.
Spicy Golden Duck, who is our man on the spot, isn't he? Says, or one of our people on the spot, just seen Jofra Archer walking back from the net, stopping for autographs and selfies. Nice chap. Yes, he does come across as
So
a
on
nice
the
chap.
segue earlier, I was a bit worried.
He was racing around on that thing as well, wasn't he?
And they were getting very excited about that, but I thought if he falls off the front of that and it runs over him and he breaks his leg,
then
it's not going to look so clever, is it?
Segues.
Outside the off stump, a little bit of movement away, but it still doesn't carry properly through to Watling, who has to dive forward as well as to his left to gather. As we look at the wickets that have fallen this morning, or today rather, Dominic Sibley just trying to play a little bit too far towards leg to a ball that moved away from him.
We talked about this earlier. He reminds me of Tom Wesley.
Tom Wesley, yes, there is a little bit of Tom Wesley. Burns got to 50. He was a little bit lucky en route. We think he might have got an incredibly thin edge to the ball early on, but no one appealed. This one leaves Stokes, and he leaves the ball, and through it goes to Watling again. Played and missed quite a bit as well, and then was he the one who was missed between first and second slip as well? I think it was him, Burns, wasn't it? And when Ross Taylor and Tom Latham didn't go for the ball. And then he edged one from Colin de Grandhomme. That was de Grandhomme taking the first couple of wickets. And then Southey got in on the act. This one hits Stokes on the thigh pad as it was angled slightly down the leg side. He's annoyed that he didn't get bad on that and perhaps just tickle it away for a single. That's the end of the over. One remaining, 237 for 4.
Evil Scooter says, I think the stats tended to show that it's the first session of the day-night matches, not the twilight portions, where the wickets fall most heavily. That is probably skewed by many of the pink ball matches having been played in Australia, but it's worth noting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happened, although I'm not sure that we're going to necessarily learn a lot if Bangladesh are batting at that particular point, because they got absolutely steamrolled by India in the first test.
They did. Durban Oak says, the bear needs to look on a map. Kenya is East Africa time and South Africa is further west and on Central Africa time. So they are an hour ahead.
There you go. That'll be why now.
So talking to your in-laws is, I said it was an unreliable guide.
Right, I got a time right, and you know.
Tim Southey then to complete the day's proceedings. This to Ollie Pope. It's left alone outside the off stump.
If he plays out a maiden here, money goes to Des.
Well, Des, if you are awake and you're listening, let us know, because it's getting very, very, very exciting.
He's on the edge of his seat, I'm sure. Adelaide Barmies, great effort for an all-nighter, chaps. Honours even today.
I think England are a little bit ahead, actually.
If they remain four down.
Yeah, if they do lose another wicket, I would say that was.
I would say just
about a balanced game. Good leave again by Pope, who then nods his appreciation of the delivery and goes through to Watling. There is no run. England, of course, won the toss, decided to bat. It was slow going in the first two sessions, but I think they began this session on 120 for 3. They've added 117 down to the wonderful stroke play and concentration of Ben Stokes. He's on 67 from 114. Pope has 14. He's looked good since he came in as well. And once more coming in to deliver is Tim Southeys. Bowls to Pope. It's too wide. And again, Watling finds himself having to dive forward to take that on the full.
Mog says, such a pessimist, Hendo. Only county Australian bowlers injure themselves before play. See what I did there?
I do. Yeah, but you know, things have been going so well for Jofra Archer, and I am such a pessimist that you kind of think there's always something around the corner. Anyway, let's hope not. As Pope settles down, quite a breeze across the Bay Oval, and he's in, and he leaves again. It's a ball that hinted at away movement, didn't really seem to do a great deal. So just the two balls to see through to the end of the day.
And our man, Mr. Mark Selleck, would have got his 10 dot balls at the end of the game.
He will. He will indeed.
He would have squirted one down towards third man, please.
Well, if he keeps bowling as wide as he has in this over so far.
So, sorry, he's on is 237 his number?
Yep, it's one of his numbers.
So he needs 2 dot balls.
Or 2 fours. 2 fours will do it as well, because he got
okay,
2, 4, 5. Short ball, he pulls it, and that is gutting. Or not, maybe not so, because he's still in the game. Square for 4 runs. So he's still in the game. He's lost the 237, but he's got the 245 inside. It's 241 for 4.
Now, nice one inside the channel outside off stump. Leave. End of the day, we don't have to pay anyone any money, and we move on to tomorrow. Sweet. Sorry.
Pope moves to 18. England 2
of 22, positively ODI scoring.
Yeah, well, he's I guess it's a tiring bowling attack, but he's looked very confident since he came to the wicket. This is the final ball of the day. 2 slips in a gully, waiting for an offering. Will they get it? No, they won't. It's too wide. It hints at away movement. It goes through the keeper. Pope takes off his gloves, walks square, then decides he's going to wait for Ben Stokes to catch up with him, and that is the end of the day. The first day of the first test of a 2-match series, which won't count towards the World Test Championship. And this session has seen 34 overs, 120 runs, just the 1 wicket. The run rate up at 3.5, whereas most of the day it was sort of about 2.1, 2.2. But well done, certainly to Ben Stokes. Well done to Joe Denley. I thought it batted really solidly. Maybe he would have got a few more runs if he could place the ball a bit better. But it has been a slow pitch. But Ben Stokes has not been troubled by that at all. He's on 67 from 114 balls. Burns went for 52, caught Watling bowled de Grandon. Sibley 22, caught Taylor bowled de Grandon. Denley 74, caught Watling bowled Southey. The only real failure of the day, I suppose, is Root, who made 2 off 21 deliveries before being caught at second slip off the bowling of Neil Wagner. So there we go. What do we think?
I think England have just shaded it. I think Sibley will be disappointed because he set his stall out. He worked the ball exclusively on the leg side, didn't he, to get his runs. He looked like he was going to live up to that, fantastic reputation he came with. But it just one moment of weakness, and he was done. But he'll learn, and 22 is not a disgrace on debut. So not bad for him. I think Burns will probably be disappointed not to have kicked on. I think Denley will be disappointed not to have kicked on. I think Stokes has looked imperious, and huge encouragement from that. And I think you're right to be quite excited about Pope, because he's looked in
he's looked good,
very tidy order as well.
Absolutely.
So on balance, I would say England's day, you have to say that it's been a funny wicket in terms of pace. Hasn't necessarily bounced much. It has swung a bit. For most of the day, New Zealand's bowlers have been tight, frugal, not easy to get away, and it's only sort of towards the latter end of the day perhaps that England have really been able to do that. So I think 4 wickets may yet prove to be not a bad return for a day's work for New Zealand either, but just slightly England's day is my gut feel at the moment.
Well, also, you've got to say, a couple of chances that went begging really as well for New Zealand. We're seeing one of those now. Ross Taylor really didn't pick up the ball from Stokes' slash outside the off stump. And then, of course, earlier when Burns might have been caught, ball went between second and third slip when either could have quite easily taken it. It was a comfortable height. So New Zealand will look back on the day and just think perhaps they didn't do themselves complete justice there.
Well, indeed. And England also think last time we came here, first test, we were all out for 58. We're in the game.
True enough.
This is very true indeed. Let's look at those bowling figures. Bolton none for 61, Southey 1 for 46, de Grandon really good, 19 overs 2 for 28. Wagner quite expensive in the end, 1 for 77 off 23, and Santner finally got a bowl just to get through New Zealand through to the second new ball, 5 overs no maidens, none for 24.
Got a bit of tap, did Santner.
Yeah, and there's a couple of nice shots over the top from Joe Denley against him, weren't there?
I will just catch you up on the final tweets. On Crick Tracker, Vipin Pokarel says Ben Hero.
Yes.
And Memory Ben appears to be saying porn. But it's linked. It's
yes, Ben. What's going on?
It's on under a picture of you asleep.
Oh, the bear. Yes, we did send out a
paint
picture.
Me like one of your French girls poses.
Just needed someone to hold grapes above him, really, didn't
You
it?
took a photo of me when I was asleep.
Yeah,
somebody did. Yeah,
a couple of cherubs, you know, sort of naked cherubs over the top of you as well. That would have sorted things out, wouldn't it?
Anna Forsyth thanks us for our sterling work, which is thanks gratefully received. Ravi Nair does too. He says, thanks for all your sacrifices to bring us this magnificent skies. I have been up since 2:30 this morning and must to bed. Catch you on the morrow. We will catch you too.
No, you're not the only one who's going to be going to bed. I'm going to be heading that way, but first I'm going to have to get in the car and drive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unlike Tony, who's staying overnight, and he's just going to nip next door,
bag.
and there he will go. He will just drop off into
I'm in
the
the
land
honeymoon
of
suite of Gorilla Towers.
Indeed so.
If that room could speak, who knows?
There might be several of you by tomorrow night, but that will be fun. Anyway, that's it for today. Great work was done earlier by Steve Jones, the man known as Not Fred, Jason G. Hiscox, Knuckle M. Pandy. It's been
the gang.
The gang from the final session. It's just this little session. It's been me, Gorilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson. It's been the bear, Nigel Walker, on my right, and it's been the Bish, Tony Bishop One.
It has indeed.
So until tomorrow, when we shall return with a slightly reduced crew, but they will be trying to push England on nonetheless. It's goodbye from all of us here.
It is.
At Gorilla Cricket. Please join us at 9:50 p.m. GMT tomorrow night for more exciting, wonderful, extraordinary, proper Test cricket.
Lovely. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover back.